Welcome to the premiere episode of Scapers After Dark, a podcast featuring Runescapers chatting about a whole host of topics, including previous jobs, the worst sunburn ever, and our first gaming memories. This week, I'm joined by Protox, Kathaar, and Lasershark. All links to their channels can be found in the description. Make sure to check them out. They all do incredibly varied stuff, and obviously, if you enjoy this stuff, please consider subscribing. This podcast was recorded live on Twitch at twitch.tv/RSCC interviews, so make sure to follow on there and you'll never miss when we go live. You might be able to catch a live one, ask us a couple of questions, because we are definitely free to just branch out into all sorts of topics, as you'll see in this podcast. Anyway, time to get on with it. How are we all doing this afternoon? How about we all introduce ourselves? Let's start with something as simple as that. So, I'm Eddie. I am, I suppose, technically the host of the podcast, and the only one that's using a webcam, so it's a little bit free for all. I feel like everyone's watching me and I can't see anyone else.
Jimmy Kimmel of Runescape.
And I do interviews with all sorts of content creators, hence how I have been able to speak with these fine young fellows. And we're actually very, very international today. We are probably about as far away time zone wise as we could have possibly made this. I didn't really think this through when I invited you guys to come on. So
just to give the group some context, everybody tell them what time it is where you are.
Yeah.
6 p.m.
2 a.m.
9 a.m.
and 5 p.m.
Oh God, man. Dude, poor Lasershark. At 2 a.m. I'd been sleeping for like 2 hours at least at that point.
I have a story to go along with that, but I'll finish making my Milo. I'll be back in like 2 seconds.
Oh.
I've got to sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Where are you grabbing tea? Or is that?
It's like Australian tea, if you've never had Milo.
Australian tea.
You don't have Milo?
No.
No.
I don't know what it is. But it sounds tasty, just does.
It's like almost a chocolate powder that's a little bit like grainier. Like it's a bit more grainier than just the normal like thin powder you get for hot chocolate. And you can have it in cold drinks and you can have it in hot drinks, which is how I'm having it now.
And that's tea?
It's like a tea. So it's like that sort of beverage you would have instead of tea, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know what you mean.
It's just a hot beverage.
It's a hot beverage, yes.
Wow. Eddie, you went quick there with the stream. Just switch the topic to Australian tea first.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Ninja fingers over here.
I'm trying to turn off transitions though. Hang on.
What's hiding behind that desk?
Behind the desk.
Yeah.
Something, as an Australian, you're probably a fan of. I got a cricket ball.
Nice.
Is that your actual mic? Oh, wait, this too.
Shh.
God, dude.
I'm so glad
it's
the camera's on.
240p.
So
actually, that was my idea, so I can take that one. But I reckon, hey, if he's going to do a talk show, everyone needs a microphone on the desk. If you watch any of the late night talk shows, they've actually got a lapel mic on, and the one on the desk is fake anyway.
You actually have a point.
That's true. That is true.
Back in the days when they weren't fake.
Science.
Video buffering.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I got 500 megabytes up. Come on, what's going on?
Anyway, let's get back to introductions as we somehow skewed off into Australian tea.
That's on me, sorry.
No, it's fine. Anyway, so I've interviewed all these gentlemen on my YouTube, which I'm sure Nightbot will spam the link at some point during the stream. I've also got it set up so it should send links to all three of your channels. I'm not sure if it'll work, but fingers crossed that I've done it right.
Free clout.
Indeed. So, let's see. Who should we go to first? Jim,
Yo.
Introduce yourself. You are first on the on the far left there.
Sure. I'm RuneScape's resident idiot. I make some weird series where I just grind myself to death hours upon hours, and some reason people watch it. So, yeah.
All right.
It's called Mad Max for a reason. The people don't pick up on that.
Actually, wow. Yeah, didn't view it that way either. For those that don't know, or weren't you finished? Where are you? Laser Shark.
Hello. Sorry, it takes a while for voice to get across Australia.
Oh shit! I did not see that coming, dude.
It's got to do that upside down translation thing.
Oh my god! Wow, dude. That was. I thought I died and like left the call or something. I was like, oh no.
No,
There we
just
go.
how long it takes for messages to reach any other country other than mine. But
God.
yeah, that's basically who I am. What I do on YouTube is I just make a funny little let's play, and yeah, that's what I'm known for.
All right, beautiful. And now, Eric. Let's
I
go.
am Mr. Guideman that happens to like tea, even though he's not British. I'm a fake British dude. I've actually lived in London, but you know that's part of the just doesn't matter. But yeah, I make guides. I sip tea. Yeah, that's it basically.
So, did you like tea before you lived in London, or did that enforce it?
Before actually.
Yeah.
So it's just a thing. Probably took it over from my parents or something.
All right, beautiful. And Kathaar, the man with the burnt feet. How are you?
Oh, dude, don't get me started on these feet. Okay.
Feet
I
pics?
am. Sure, you'll love it. Oh no, I lost my train of thought. I hate you. Oh god, what do I do again? Oh right, yes. So I am RuneScape 3's budget Swampletics knockoff, except I couldn't even afford water, so I'm in the desert. Stands cheaper. Who knew? No, I'm just a YouTuber, RuneScape, small-time RuneScape YouTuber with one series so far, and that is playing a hardcore Iron Man locked to the desert.
And what is the final goal?
Yeah, the final goal is to die to Telos, obviously. No, just the final goal is to kill Telos. See how that goes. It's been a lot of fun so far. Been having a blast. Been getting a lot of support with it lately, too.
Yeah, man, you're flying.
Eating this up, man. Yeah, no, I love it. Should be recording more, but I'm waiting on more hardware.
Yes. Yeah, you're...
What's for Telos? I don't know. I've actually only killed one twice, I think. On 0% rage on a maxed account with almost best in slot gear. Feels bad.
Yeah, but you were using ranged. It was fine.
It's my only best in slot gear. I'm not going in there with subjugation robes and a obliteration staff.
I had my very first Araxor kill the other day. Quite proud of that.
Well done.
Yep. Took 10
Right on.
attempts. On attempt number 3, I ran out of charge. That was great.
Ooh.
And then attempt number 5, my pack yak ran out, so I was doing really well. So yeah, I had all the luck when I was trying to do that. But I get like the mechanics of it now, and I really start to understand that armor plays less of a role. Like once you learn the mechanics, you could do it in tier 70 easy.
Yeah. Which path did you do?
The middle one.
Okay. And what was the other path that was open? Was it the minions or the dark?
The minions. That was a pain in the ass. I don't like those. So
yeah, if you did
I was really thrown in the deep end.
I was gonna say if you do it now, it's the easy sort of rotation. It's 2-3, so you don't have to deal with the minions. You just have to deal with it getting a little bit dark and some acid spiders.
I was in voice chat when I was trying that. I'm like, all right, I'll do Araxor today. Let's go for my second kill. And then I was starting to freak out going, oh my God, it's bugged. Guys, it's bugged. Where's all the minions? And they're like, you're an idiot. Okay.
Oh God.
All right,
It's always like that learning PvM, isn't it? Like everything seems so terrifying when you first attempt something, and then after about 4 or 5 tries and you can really start to calm yourself and really look at what's going on, that's where things start to become a lot smoother.
Yeah, it's even if you've watched a guide on it, actually experiencing it for yourself firsthand makes a huge difference. Like it looks so much different than when you've watched a guide. It's like, oh, I know what to expect, but then actually feeling it is something completely different.
Oh, don't worry, I felt those cleaves. They hurt.
That's exactly why I'm not even subbed to Protox. I don't need these guides. They don't do me any good. I just have to go in there and figure it out.
Wow.
We're not
That's
getting any 99.
Oh gosh.
Right.
I'm just messing with you, bro.
Okay,
Gotta
let
get that out
us
there
That was a
before
good
we
joke,
go away.
let us move swiftly on to the first topic, which is everybody's first gaming memory. So, again, we'll start from the left. Jim, what do you remember as the first game or gaming memory you've got?
It involves toilet paper and lots of the slippy slidey stuff, because my first gaming experience I remember was actually, like, I'm talking like really play myself, not just watch dad play or anything like that. I played Doom as my first game.
Okay.
So I was absolutely terrified as like a young kid playing Doom, and there's like all of these demons running around and all this. And back then they were like cutting edge graphics, you know. It's the first person shooter that you're seeing all of these I guess generated worlds. And they're not procedurally generated, but it's still like a larger map than what most of the games back then were. And I never understood the whole mechanics of the game, because there was a lot of deep story in there. But I just remember specifically, I jumped in, there was that floating pus ball. I forget the name of it. It's like the floating head creature. And that used to give me nightmares for the longest time. So that was where I really like dove in first game that was my game. I don't know why my parents bought it for me. It was clearly above my age. But that was my experience jumping into video games.
Wow.
A good game though.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I am Australian. Everything wants to kill me, including video games.
Oh, it should have been a cakewalk for you.
Should have been easy. You're used to that, even as a young kid. Fucking spiders.
It is now. Yeah.
All right, Protoxx,
I have
what
a
about
story
you?
I can tell about that later.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Right. Eric, what's yours?
Actually, it's either a game called Dungeon Siege or Club Penguin. I can't remember anything earlier than that. It's probably Club Penguin because I was like 3 years old or something. 3, 4.
Club Penguin's that old?
I'm pretty sure.
No, he's just that
He's
young.
just that young, yeah.
Let me check this.
Yeah, for retrospect, here we go. I'm old. Sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry. It
Me
was
too, apparently.
it was probably when I was 5 or 6, actually. No, because I RuneScape was when I was 7. So yeah, that makes sense. Apparently, it's released in 2005. So, and I'm only 20.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. That explains it.
Yeah, the youngster
Yeah.
of the group.
Club Penguin, dude, just on the ski hut and all that stuff. You know, just chilling there, looking at all those people that spent money on the game.
You and me have different opinions of Club Penguin. I remember a very specific Flash game where it was very morbid, and basically the idea was to hit the penguin as far as it could.
Yes.
And then you hit this.
Yes.
You remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Learn to fly.
No, there was one with a penguin. It was a similar thing, though.
yeah, and yeah, that's my experience of Club Penguin. If I
Oh.
was to try and remember back in those days.
I remember.
You
there
guys
was a-
remember Drag Racer? Another Flash game, Drag Racer V3.
No, I remember there was another one of those like flying, jumping ones with the.
Yeti.
No, with a just a shopping trolley that you'd upgrade.
It
I
seems
can't remember the
all
name of
those
it.
games were clones.
Yeah, but they were all, you just grind for the next upgrade and then, I'll just keep playing and get the next one. And
Addiction.
yeah.
That was back in the
Must
days
have-
you would actually log into like Cartoon Network, the actual website, to play those games.
I think
Oh.
for
What
me,
about Armored Games though, and like Mini Clip? Aren't those like older, or am I?
see,
don't
I
know.
used
Mini Clip's pretty
Congregate, I
old.
think was mine.
Oh yeah, I know that one too.
And Congregate was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
And then you had like a bunch of dumb ones that had names like fungames.com, stuff like that, you know.
Fun
But,
games.
Or
Hmm.
just
Funnel?
Newgrounds, you know, going to the game section on Newgrounds. But that's where I got. I mean, that's not where I got started. But if you want to talk about like Flash games like that, I pretty much found most of them through Newgrounds.
Ooh.
Like Madness Interactive and a lot of those not safe for work Flash games, stupid stuff like that. But no, I never
Yeah.
really got into Club Penguin, man. By the time it even came on my radar, I had already been playing RuneScape for a few years. So it was something my little sisters were playing, and I was like, this is kid stuff. I don't want to play as a penguin.
I'm
It
beyond
reminds
this
me too
now.
much of Neopets, and that's pretty much it.
Penguins are fun, dude. What?
I just never got into it. Dude, penguins are spies. I don't know what you're talking about. They're evil.
Is
trying
that a
to-
know
RuneScape
better.
reference?
It's funny. Yeah. But for some reason, my German teacher in high school also hated penguins. She had one stuffed penguin hanging by its neck from the little pull cord for the projection screen.
Jesus
She-
Christ.
Did you say
She
teacher?
never clarified.
Yeah,
My teacher. She never clarified why. She just always said penguins are evil. I was like, I don't know what your childhood traumatizing experience with a penguin was, but all right, I'm not going to question it. Penguins
God
are
damn.
evil.
That is...
They be evil. They're wearing permanent tuxedos. So cute. They're like mini James Bonds running around.
What about
Dude,
Happy
I
Feet
was
then?
not about to argue with a lady who could scream at me in German. Okay, I just wasn't going to do it.
Oh my god.
right.
And also had
When
no
you,
problem shoving her thumb in my eye. Like it wasn't
Shoving her thumb. Sorry.
He was
yeah,
abused.
I was abused. by
She
a teacher.
also
It was
speak English in class, or
well, it was German class, so yes. She was from somewhere in the middle of the U.S., like some Midwest state. So she had a little bit of an accent when she was talking normally, but then she'd switch up to German, and it was just
please
German.
tell
That
me
was
she
it.
sounds English.
Yeah, the penguins are not good, yeah.
8, 9.
I seriously hope the German guy I know is not in this chat. He might be here though.
It's like how people always say, and particularly Americans, they always go, throw another shrimp on the barbie, and it's like, mate, we call them prawns. What the hell is a shrimp?
The fuck is a prawn?
Yeah, no, but mate.
Wait, okay, no. Wait. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of crawdads. Never mind. You're right. Prawns and shrimp are the same thing, pretty much.
And it's another thing. It's like, throw another shrimp on the barbie. It's like, I don't even know where the hell that came from. Why is that the cliche?
It was probably some dumb Crocodile Dundee movie or something. Like
It'll be some trope from somewhere that's appeared.
some trope from somewhere that is just perpetuated, and no one really cares enough. Like
That's something that always gets me, is when I see an Australian on some American film, they put on an accent, and it's like, we don't talk like that. What the hell is this thing?
it's because it's supposed to be exaggerated.
Yeah.
It has to be to get the point.
It's like the British
Like-
guy is always the evil guy.
Yeah,
It's
to be
very-
Germans aren't always talking like this. Like they're not always like that. But if you got a German on the screen, you gotta make sure dumb Americans know it's a German on the screen, so it can't be.
I
Like
was
that,
gonna
you know,
say,
it has to be la.
the stereotype goes both ways. When an American's in an Australian show, they're loud, fat, and obnoxious. Goes both ways.
And they've always got a southern accent, right?
Yeah, good old Florida Man 9000.
Oh no.
I love those Florida man memes though. They're actually really good.
Oh, Florida man's great. He's our national treasure. We love him and hate him equally.
Anyway, Kathaar, what was your first gaming memory? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And he's
Oh,
spent so
no.
much time working on this. It's just like, right.
I kind of
Hey, that's how
expected
these
it
things
to
go.
just,
They
yeah.
Devolve into generic conversation. But,
Exactly.
it's okay. Shoot.
Okay.
Okay, so my mom went out. We grew up poor. We grew up very, very poor. Poor. Anyway, getting that across. So my mom went out to a pawn shop and picked up, I think it was a Nintendo 64, and I don't remember what game was on it. I want to say it was Legend of Zelda of some kind, but it wasn't any of the 3D games, so that couldn't have been it. Anyway, whatever game it was, it didn't matter. We played it. You know what I meant. Because the first N64 Legend of Zelda game to come out was Ocarina, right? And that was
I'm trying to
it
think
was
about it.
polygons. It wasn't pixel based. It wasn't a 2D game. But we had it for like a week. or not even a week, like a few days, and my mom just goes, "This sucks." Took it back. She hated it. Came back home the same day with a PlayStation 1, Tekken 3, Tomb Raider, and Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. And
Wait,
then
so
about,
your mum's literally the opposite of Marge Simpson with Bone Storm.
pretty much.
Literally the opposite. Oh my god, that is awesome.
It's literally got you an upgrade then.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and we've
Jesus.
been a Sony household pretty much ever since. I've got very little to like no experience with Nintendo products because of that, because we just never really owned them. And then like a week later, she went out and picked up Final Fantasy VII. So those were my first 4 games, right there. All just smash them out of the park.
Wow.
So in terms of like remembering playing it a lot, I remember I didn't beat Final Fantasy VII before my dad pawned it. Don't ask.
Ouch.
But the games were still fun. Like Soul Reaver 1 became one of the more formative, or what's a good word for this? One of the most influential games of my formative years, and as such, I have tattoos dedicated to the game. So
Whoa.
also just a good game.
Awesome.
good
That's
series.
like me. I've got my Transformers tattoos because I was such a fan of the original G1 series. Like, I don't care for the Michael Bay movies. I kind of hate them, to be honest. But that's why I got my Transformers ones, is because that was such an important part of my childhood growing up.
My parents were obsessed with the old Transformers cartoons. You loved them, so I watched them a lot as a kid too. My
That
parents had
movie
me
from the
super
80s.
young,
Oh,
so they
so
were
good.
really into it. There was a movie in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like, it's one
Well,
of the.
I don't know how old you are,
best
but I
kids
was born in
movies.
'92, so it would have been.
I was
way before my-
95, so but it's just that I had it on VCR and I played it on Rewind all the time. But it's such like for an animated film of its time, it's got some dark elements, really dark elements to it, but it's basically an exact, and Eddie obviously knows this, the hero's journey from film. It's basically a 1-to-1 scale of that whole journey. So it's a really nice animated film. Plus,
You
it
guys
has
are
one of the best soundtracks.
I
was that,
think I
young
might
man?
have seen at least part of it.
I said you guys are a lot older than I expected.
Well, yeah,
I am not old.
I'm 94, 26. So
But wow, just
yeah, man.
that's the difference. It just is. Wow. Okay.
Sam says my first game was the Mario one that you plugged into your TV and threw away. What did
No,
you plug
through
it in?
AV, audio video.
Oh,
yeah, no.
I was like, what?
Yeah,
I beat this game, put it in the bin.
I know what he's talking about, but I can't remember what it's called. It's like those are like old consoles. Like they weren't even really considered consoles yet. Because I think it was just like the one game. You just plugged it into your television and it used your TV to. That's pretty much
Just
it,
as the
God.
display,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I used to have one of those bootleg things. If you guys have seen John Tron with his like retrospectives on them, I used to have a bunch of those where it was like 5,000 video games in one, and it was the
Yeah.
same game repeat sometimes.
It's the
one of
classic as
those,
well.
I don't know.
Ashens. Ashens was one of the first like YouTubers
Yeah, I
I
think-
properly watched, and of course that back in the day that was like his thing. It was just constant.
think,
news.
Charlie, that was my game.
I think Angry Video Game Nerd did a thing on those like 5,001 games, and he said the same thing. He's like, most of these don't work. A lot of them are just copies of the same game. I feel ripped off. This game is garbage, and then he like destroys it in some brutal fashion. Wow.
Me being obviously a bit older in the chat than obviously Protox here. Did you ever play the Super Mario Brothers 2 game? Did you ever get a hold of that one?
Okay, Donkey.
2. I don't know. Like maybe I'm gonna have to actually like Google it right now. Super Mario.
I'm
If
thinking-
you would remember controversy revolving that game, Super Mario.
Was that the one that
Brothers-
was too difficult?
No,
I have
not
played
a
it.
Super Mario Brothers.
I
It was
have
a
played it.
rip-off of another game, just reskinned to be Mario.
Wait, that wasn't actual Mario then? Like from the huh?
No, why would Mario go around pulling up freaking parsnips and whatever out of the ground? Remember that game? What you actually do? You go around like picking up vegetables out of the ground and throwing them at like weird skull things.
I'm pretty sure. Like looking from the image, I have played this at some point.
Yeah, and it was just a blatant like copy of another game with just Mario textures added on top, and this is coming from Nintendo.
That's kind of
So-
sad.
Well,
That's
did
about right.
Nintendo own the game that they were copying?
Cool.
I mean, if it was on that console, Nintendo pretty much owned the rights to 90% of the games that were coming out on that
The
console.
Super
Yeah.
Nintendo, I had Mario World, the one where you could ride Yoshi and stuff like that. That was pretty cool.
Mhm.
2D
Ride
side
Yoshi?
scrolls.
Yeah,
Ride them.
you ride Yoshi. It's
Yeah,
like for
like
half
that
a
cake
level
they
or
can
something,
make-
right?
A lot of the levels had 'em.
Yeah. I
I
think
think who does that now? Seth Bling. I'm pretty sure Seth Bling, the old
Minecraft
Minecraft YouTuber, he does them now. He speedruns that game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man, I've been trying to think of my first gaming memory, and it's either like Pokemon Yellow, because I got Game Boy Color, the yellow one with Pokemon Yellow, or it's Red Alert, and I actually don't know what was first. It's like either Red Alert or a Rally Game, because we got our first home computer, and they got it from like PC World or whatever, and there was a deal where you'd get like a 50 game or like 50 disc sort of box with it for super cheap. And one of the
Real or
yeah, no, like real games like Red
Yeah,
Alert
okay.
and Colin McRae Rally or something like that, and like I'm pretty sure Red Alert would have been the first game that I properly played. Like I watched my dad play a lot of Age of Empires. That may well have been in there as well. Like it must have been some crazy deal because there's like good games in there.
for 50 of them for the deal, unless you got ripped off on the computer. It happens.
I mean, it was like Windows. Well, it would have been 98 actually. Yeah,
An ex-computer salesman, I took a lot of money that, just wasn't good money in that regard.
I also worked selling computers for 4 years in retail. So
I mentioned it on my podcast with Grump, but I'll say it again here. My boss actually had a USB stick that was full of freeware programs. So Audacity, Google Sheets, Google Docs, all of those things. And we used to sell that USB with every new computer for around $50 to $60. So it was just pure
Amazing.
profit.
Wow.
when all they needed to do was go
Big
to ninite.com.
That's exactly where we went for
You're
all
ruining
of
his
it.
business, dude.
Yeah.
What
Why
20
not doing
years
it?
later.
man?
And
That-
you'd be surprised. I think that like a lot of older people, like the what do you call it? Like the people that suck with computers or anything
Yeah.
tech related,
Yeah.
they probably pay for that, which is
No,
sad.
they
at the same time, but
like we offered when I was selling it. We'd offer like a setup service to get it all sort of running and set up, so they just turn it on and away they'd go. And there was definitely an age sort of thing for the people that would go for it.
And my boss would like deliberately force me to target those sorts of people with that as well. And I did that for how long was I there? Like 5 years. And I felt so dishonest when I did it. And I felt bad because I knew that I was like technically ripping people off. I'm like, I can't do this no more. And that's what led me to leaving that industry, because I'd rather go home with a clear conscience knowing that I'm doing something good for society rather than just taking money away from people who can't really afford it, because part of the job was pushing finance as well. It's like, come on, you need this gaming PC, you need this is so much better for you. And they're like, I can struggle with repayments now, how am I meant to afford this? And I had to sell it. It was part of the job. If I didn't do it, I lost my job.
I mean that's sales, right? It's yeah.
I mean,
I think
for-
that's the thing
ethical.
everywhere. Like,
Yeah,
where
for-
people sell things, they need profit, so they have to like ask a lot of money for something.
especially
that may not be worth it,
in like the age we are now, where Amazon exists and margins are so tight actually on hardware. They have to sell some service or product or software with it to actually make any money off of the computers.
I've got
Mhm.
friends in the car game, and it's the same thing there with dealerships. They're obviously all getting the exact same Mustang, and how are you going to do a better discount than the other people? Well, it comes on now the service side. So you take a loss on the actual car, but then in the contract, it's you have to get it serviced by their dealership to bring the money back.
Ah,
So it's a constant
Yeah.
influx. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything's on rebate nowadays. So in the TV land, you have to sell basically X amount of TV for you to get a rebate, because you're technically losing like sometimes up to $1,500 per TV. You're losing money, and if you do not meet that quota, the company, say Samsung, won't pay you the rebate of 30 grand to top you back up.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
weird.
Sorry, I'm.
I don't
late
hold
stage
back end of
capitalism for
retail.
you.
I'm-
I don't miss retail at all.
What,
Nah,
what,
me
what
either.
made you? What did you after that? Wait, we're probably straying away from the.
It's
first game
okay.
memory.
I'm just sorry. I'm just trying to fiddle with a command because apparently I didn't do them right. So, let's move on to. Let me update that.
Oh, transitions. I love them.
Let's go on to previous jobs.
Can I be the noise?
Wait for it. Wait for it. And go.
Every YouTuber's favorite transition, the whip noise.
Wait.
Wait.
Transition again. We're making it bigger. There we go. Okay. Right.
Right in the background. Oh, there we go.
I've got the event list. I thought I'd add it because I had space.
Probably take the stream off of 160p so you can see what it says.
It seemed an idea. Anyway, let's continue on the flow of conversation while I try and sort out these things, and I will be back in a second with my
Laser Shark,
thoughts.
was there any job after when you quit the sales position? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I actually went. It's still sales, but I went into a manager position in a different area, and basically that taught me how to run the business, which is what I'm sort of implementing now on the YouTube side of things. Just that whole structure of them teaching you how to create marketing, how to create like actual data flow and manage that sort of thing. So I did that for a while for a company, but that I really enjoyed because it was a company that was not massive, but it wasn't small. So there was definitely room to move inside that company. And they gave you the flexibility to say, you've got an idea. Let's see what happens with that idea. If it works, it works. If not, let's reanalyze it and see what parts we can take away, what we can improve. And that is my idea for how companies, in my opinion, should be run, because that's how you get innovation.
Mm-hmm. Good point, actually.
The people on the bottom, and this is for anyone who listens to this who is way up higher the chain, the people on the bottom are the ones interacting with customers on a day-to-day basis. So they know what the people are after, they know their personality, they know basically the thought process that these people are going through. So the best source of information isn't your marketing team who go to university and all that because they read a book. It's literally your front line of retail people, because they're the ones dealing with everyone every single day.
Actually, a good point. But I mean, the people that read the book, they might have learned certain methods. Maybe
they'll learn how to influence
also,
people.
It's also fair to argue that your people on the front lines don't get paid enough to care about that kind of thing. So they're not going to come to you and say, "Hey, yeah, so we typically have these kind of people coming in, and they usually look for this, 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 and this. So maybe if we push this forward, you might see." No, they don't care.
No, so I'm just thinking.
Now, you might get a couple that are, but and so like in concept, it's sound, but you might not get as much information out of your working class as you're looking for.
It kind of depends, because you can do like an overarching survey that everybody in the company has to like complete to try and get feedback for that sort of thing. And if you have like an option to add additional feedback, the people that actually care will probably fill that out, whereas the people that don't will just skip past it and leave it as like a yes, no, or whatever kind of answer.
Yeah, when I climbed the ladder, right, and I got into my position at the top of like my store, I always led by example. So if I was asking of my team, hey, these are our KPIs, so our targets that we have to hit, I would be on the line with them for the first week and show them that I can do all my back end crap that I need to do and still smash these targets. So it's like when they say, oh, I can't do it, whatever they're trying to excuse themselves for, I say I did it, plus I had all this other stuff to do. Like, it is possible. It's just a matter of getting in the right mindset and being positive, because if you start thinking that you're not going to hit targets, you'll never hit them. But if you start thinking, I can do this, and then you start to, again, analyze, you got to really always take a step back and, okay, I missed this opportunity for an add-on. What did I do wrong? Maybe I said it wrong. Maybe it was the tone of my voice. Maybe I introduced it too early. That can be a thing. And there's a particular role in some of these retail businesses, which is a sales manager. And their job is to literally stand behind the employees and listen to the whole sales pitch. And then they will take all of these bits of information and tell you where you actually went wrong. But if you can self-analyze that, which is what I taught my team to do, it made everyone stronger. So there's no weak salesperson. They're all just as good as each other, and everyone hit targets.
And it's making sure to discuss as well how you think it went. It's constant feedback and not just being left sort of to your own devices. Because even if you can self-analyze, maybe you're missing something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
important
Other
to
people
always
also
will,
constructive
actually.
criticism.
You always
Yeah.
will. Like someone else will be able to spot something you might have never seen.
Yeah, for sure. Because in like the computer sales role I did, I moved up to like the sort of area, I guess, overseer. Team leader, they called it. So it wasn't like a manager, it was kind of the sort of role below that. So occasionally you'd do rotas, but it was a lot of training people up for sales and that sort of thing. So I know exactly what you're talking about there when
Did
it
you
comes
get
to listening to
bonuses
it.
if your team made target?
No.
See, I did, but I put my bonuses up and I'd split 50-50 with the team. Because
Huh.
they did the work, they achieved it, and it's not right that I get rewarded for that. Yes, being a good manager is one thing, but they've done the groundwork, and I gave them half of my bonus to say thank you.
Yeah,
Like,
it had to be an
physically?
incentive.
Like,
Yeah.
did you give them cash or something? Like, or did the boss know? Like,
No, boss doesn't care. He gets his profit either way. He's just like, do whatever you need to do to make this team work, and that's how I did it. So every time I got a bonus, I'll just split it between the team.
Yeah,
And to
bonuses
make
are
them
a
feel
fun
really
thing.
I made it like a percentage thing, basically, of who did the most and stuff like that. So it was the better you do, obviously, than the rest of the team, the higher of my bonus you get as a percentage. I did try it the other way around where everyone's on equal playing fields, but that's where you get a weak link.
Yep.
Because some people slack off because they know they're getting the same as everyone else. So
Yes,
doing the tier
exactly.
system forces them to bring themselves up the par.
The way the
Mhm.
bonuses worked where I was, so we had like a customer service sort of score. So they'd send off surveys to customers, and if you got a certain percentage or above, then everyone in the store would get a bonus, but that was based off of their sales. So, which was kind of sucked because people on the tills got tons of bonus for just standing at the tills and scanning stuff through, like ink cartridges and whatever, quickly add up. Whereas someone that might only sell a few computers a day doesn't actually get that sort of huge bonus. So it's.
Was your commission based on profit?
It was just total sales. It wasn't actually done on profit. When
Mine was
I
on the profit. So basically, you were forced to maximize your profit. And there's many different ways of doing that. Like if you were to sell an AMD machine, for example, you had like $200 versus Intel where there's $80, something like that. So you're making more commission by selling AMD, and that's where you sort of get that bias to one brand that makes you more money.
Yeah, they'd sometimes do like highlighted products and that sort of thing. But for me, I moved because again, I didn't really like the ethical selling all the add-ons and stuff to people. I moved into a like business to business role. So selling to other business customers and stuff like that. And we'd sell white goods as well as computers. And I think the largest one we had someone that was outfitting 12 houses. And they had to get all of the stuff for the kitchens and everything in one go. But they had to be delivered at different days on the same date. And it was like one massive that took a good afternoon. And they came in 20 minutes before I was about to go home. I must have stayed at least 2.5 hours after. I was like,
I've had that too. Yeah.
But I was the business guy, so I couldn't leave. Like if I just left halfway through this huge sale, it would have not looked too good.
I remember one year, end of financial, so basically around this time, but last month, we had that same thing. They came in like literally 10 minutes before close, and it was B2B. So me being the manager, I handled it. And what they were after were the Microsoft Surface tablets, because these were like the new hot thing. And he owned one of Australia's like largest media companies. So all of his journalists need it, all of his reporters need it. And he ended up spending $1.3 million with us. And you just don't know.
You haven't got a
who
clue
these
who it
people
is
are. Yeah, like they could just walk in. I've had customers that walk in rags and like just dirty people, but they're some of the best customers because they're hard workers. They've definitely worked hard for their money and they spend it well. So never judge a book by its cover. I learned that very early on in the sales game.
Does someone who dresses nice make a better impact on you though?
Not
Like, first
really,
impression?
because
Or
they're
looks
kind of
more-
they're kind of
Stingy.
stingy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's all about how the person. It's about how the person actually talks to you rather than how they look. Is what I found. It's like, you know, how
Yes.
they treat you. Do they treat you as a human or do they treat you as just a sales machine?
You learn to become sort of a chameleon in that role. Like some people you need to sell through knowing their
yeah.
stuff, like it's product
Yeah.
knowledge, but then others you need to sell yourself because they want someone who's genuine and honest, and you need to, you know, sell that part of it to get the deal done. So it's definitely, you got to read the character that you've actually spoken to, and there's so much that I can go into that, like body language for one thing. If there's like an old lady who comes in, I'm not gonna walk in and like at the top of my voice go, "Hey, bro, how's it going?" and you know, give the lady a heart attack. I'm gonna go, "Hi, welcome," and just talk very softly and stuff like that. But then obviously, if a young, you know, 20-year-old dude comes in with his hat back to front, I'll be like, "Yeah, bro, what's up?" You know, just you got to
the way it was sort of described to me is it's like you match them and then add a little bit, so you have to match their level basically, but then add a little bit to kind of try and get them to come out.
There's key words you can use like need, wants, good, best, better, affordable, reliable. Like these words are just subconscious things that you say in a sentence and they stick with the customer. And some of my best sales training was always getting the word yes out of a customer. So basically it's like, okay, so you're after a computer that does this, this, and this. Yes. You want it to be around this price. Yes. You want it to have these features. Yes. Okay. This computer has this, everything that you've said. Do you want it? What's the thing they're going to say? You're basically
you're leading them straight
manipulating
into
away.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. And then they go, oh, it's too expensive still. Okay, I asked this question, and if you guys are in sales, this is the best thing, the best sentence in any salesperson's tool. What would you pay for this? That sentence will close pretty much any single deal because you're finding out their number. Even if it's way cheaper than what you can do is you can go, look, I get that number. I've tried to work the numbers. I can't do that. Let me go talk to my boss. I didn't have a boss. I was the boss. So I went out the back and talked to myself for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you just go have a chat with someone.
Dude, I've
and,
seen that happen.
And this is what the boss can do for you. And, you know, they're usually happy because you've gone that extra effort to go talk to someone because it shows that you're listening, and every customer has this thing where they just want to be heard. So taking that extra step is what really just closes deals. But that one sentence, what would you pay for this? I've closed pretty much everything with that line.
Damn.
All right. So, Kathaar, you've been rather quiet. How you doing, man?
You know, just listening. Educational stuff.
I'm going to need it when you come to those bandits.
So what previous jobs have you had? You mentioned you had a bit of retail experience.
Yeah, I mean, like most people, my first few jobs were retail, and I got out of them as quick as I could because it's scummy business, and I hate working for it. Like, I mean, you know, no jab on you, Jim, but I just didn't.
I felt scummy. That's why I left.
Yeah, exactly. The same things you felt scummy about were the exact same things I didn't like. It's like because you'd have those customers come in, and it's like they know exactly what they want. They have told you exactly what they want, but you still have to try and shovel other stuff into it. And they're like, "No, I don't want it. I don't want it." It's like, "Yeah, I know you don't want it, but I have no choice but to at least tell you about it." And then they leave without taking the thing that they didn't want because they didn't want it. And your boss is now screaming at you because you didn't sell them the thing that they didn't want. And that was the situations I would find myself in. One of my earliest jobs, I was working for Toys R Us as a seasonal worker back when that store still existed. And the big thing was selling their stupid credit card. Now, every single person who came past my register either already had the card or was adamant about not taking one. Just no, absolutely not. I'm not taking it. My credit won't do it. I'm not even going to try it. I don't want it. I do not
when
want
they
the card.
feel offended that you asked.
Yes, exactly. And so, lo and behold, I did not get kept after seasonal because I wasn't the stupid kid with the little star on his shirt for making the most credit card sales. It's like, I don't
sell enough.
Yeah. No, I hated that. I hated that. If that's your business
Yeah,
model, if that's what you
100%.
need to keep afloat, you have failed as a company. So that's why. And
That's
you know what? They're gone now.
McDonald's.
So
What?
McDonald's?
The-
What?
Yeah, they call that the McDonald's sales, basically, because it's the same thing as every time you go past the window. Do you want an apple pie for $1? Like they have to say that to every single
dude,
person,
yeah.
regardless if they get no. That's where that theory comes from. And they basically started that trend, and then every company adopted it.
For some reason, it doesn't bother me at McDonald's as much. I think it's, I've already come into your darn store with all these other people in it. I've dug out the item I want, and I just want to get out of here. Leave me alone. Like, for some reason, in a drive-through to McDonald's doesn't seem as bad. Hey, do you want an apple pie? Nah, I'm good. All right, cool. Here's your total. Or you know what? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Give me an apple pie. Why not? But like, yeah, you know what? Let me sit here and fill out this stupid card for this Visa application. I don't know. But I get bitter about that kind of stuff. But
it gives you perspective, though. Like now you know what a shit job is.
I've had a
exactly. Experience is good.
I've had various shit jobs. Outside of working in retail, I've also worked hard manual labor. I worked as a concrete carpenter for about a year and a half.
Oof.
So building parking structures. Oh yeah, dude. And you got to figure. All right, my first day on the job, I was getting paid $11 an hour. I was excited. I think minimum wage here was like $8. Still, so it's like, okay, great. I'm making money. I have a kid on the way. At least at the time, I thought I did. That didn't. That ended up not having to be something I had to worry about. But that's why I got into that job, right? And not like that. But whatever you're talking about. It's just a terrible person. He's out of my life now.
I mean, judging by your tone, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. I dodged a serious bullet. But anyway, that's why I got into this job. And so I was like, okay, so we're going to make it $11 an hour. It's going to be great. I weighed 120 pounds soaking wet with my boots on. Okay. And I'm on this job site running around with this little, it's like maybe at the time it was like a 10, 15 pound tool bag around my belt. And I'm running around picking up scrap essentially because they're like first day on the job. The boss is like, okay, just run around, pick up all this rebar, all this tie wire, all this other stuff. By the end of the day, my feet hurt so much, I wanted to go apply for another retail job. It was so bad.
Right? It's the shoes, isn't it?
The boots.
Oh no, I've worn
Safety
boots.
shoes
I've worn
are
boots my
fucking
whole
awful.
life. I've worn boots my whole life. I
Oh.
don't wear anything else. Actually, my fiance has only just recently convinced me to get a pair of normal shoes. So for the first time in forever, and the first time since 6th grade, I'm wearing normal shoes. They're nice. They come on and off easily. I always hated that it's like a 15-minute ordeal to get boots on. But
so I did that socks as well.
Yeah.
For boots.
I did. Yeah, you can't be too thin or you're gonna regret it.
Yeah.
But I did that for about a year and a half before I finally stopped that because I wanted to go to school. And then life happened and I never went to school and fell back into retail for a little while. And ultimately decided I absolutely hate my job. I want to go do something else. I wanted to get into game development, and lo and behold, QA testers require nothing but 2 working hands to get a job. So, I started out working as a what's the word? Localization QA tester for Final Fantasy 14, right before Stormblood came out. For anybody
As an idiot, what's localization?
We had to make sure it's translation. So the game is Japanese by default because it's Square Enix. So they would. What
so
we did
translating
was like,
and everything. I guess.
For example, okay, let's use RuneScape for example. Let's say RuneScape. Let's say Menaphos is coming out. You're adding a whole lot of new NPCs, new items, new examine text, all this, but it starts in English. You are a Japanese localization tester. So they give you this big spreadsheet of all the names and what they're supposed to say in Japanese. And now you have to run your character over and check all of these items that have been updated. Make sure that bench says the right thing in Japanese. Make sure that that the Kopesh says the right thing in Japanese. So as an example, that's what I was doing. But I had to make sure that like translations for items like, these bracelets of +1 intelligence or whatever. You put the item on, it's actually only 1 bracelet. Why does it say bracelets? Okay, that's wrong. It needs to say bracelet. Stuff like that.
Have you done it because you said you studied German? Are you trained in German as well?
No, absolutely not. I did a year of German in high school and failed it. Mainly because I didn't do my homework.
Kannst du kein Deutsch sprechen?
Yeah, g'day, mate. How goes? You know.
Meine Deutsch is terrible.
Krankenwagen.
Ich
Krankenwagen.
spreche keine Deutsch. But anyway, so from that, I got
Raid from Spider.
Indeed. Hello, Mr. Mash.
What up, Mash?
Congratulations on releasing episode 4 earlier. I hope everybody has gone and watched it.
Spoodermoosh in the house. No, I haven't watched it yet. I need to.
So we need localization for YouTube because some of those automatic subtitles are just weird.
I love them. It's so fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, microwave here. Microwave. But that's at least you got a meme out of that one.
Yeah.
But last bit, I was I stuck to the QA thing because I just kept wanting to do it, and it was relatively easy, and the pay was really good. And so after that, I started working at the Treyarch for Black Ops 4.
Oh, it sounds cool because Treyarch, it's a pretty big
company. It's awesome, but if you've ever read that article about how Treyarch treated their QA testers, all of that is true, and that dude's not even telling you the worst stories. But that's all I'll say because I'm still technically under NDA and I don't want to get a call from them again.
Nope, fair enough, man.
I'm still avid.
Fair enough.
Spider-Man movie. That Spider-Man movie game on PS2, best Treyarch game.
Yes. Oh fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
You remember that?
You don't play with that. Yeah. It was Spider-Man 3. Was it 2 or 3?
I think it was 1.
Was it
maybe
one?
they did the whole trilogy.
I know 2 was
I
very
remember
well
playing
regarded. I've never played any of them. I didn't have PlayStation growing up, like at all. It was Nintendo.
They were
in the
well
household.
regarded because of the web mechanics, and that's why the new one is so really well done. Because Insomniac went out of their way to match those old mechanics pretty much bit for bit to make it feel as close to that as possible because they nailed it on that game.
The same company that did Ratchet and Clank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was playing the new one yesterday, and I was like, "Damn, this is just so like." If you've obviously played a PS2 and you did, that is a proper remaster. Unlike please don't tell me you played that new SpongeBob remaster.
Oh god, I saw it,
but
it's so bad.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that Ratchet remaster. It looks amazing. The story is botched. The characters are botched. The writing is weak. It looks great though.
It's not the same Ratchet though. Like,
and that's the problem. They've swapped out the original story and the original characters for what they decided to write in for that movie. And so I don't really consider it a remaster of the first game. I just consider it another spinoff.
Yeah, sure.
It's a beautiful game, and I'm excited for the new one. Yeah, same here. I've still got it. I need to. Yeah, there's a Rifts Apart coming out on PS5 with God dang Ray Trace Clank.
Ray tracing. Oh, isn't that the catchphrase?
Yeah, it looks good.
1080p, 4K, HDR. Now ray tracing. There's always like a buzzword when they're trying to sell things.
Hey, at least it's not 3D again.
That was amazing. Did you all? Oh Christ!
Oh my god!
Yeah. So our shop sold TVs as well. Where I was selling computers, they did TVs too. And the wave of 3D TVs coming through and just disappearing like in 2 years was awful. I think Samsung were the only ones that were doing it at the end. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. And the Curve as well, the Curve TV, that was a weird.
I have to admit, when OLED came out, because I was selling the TVs back then, that was game changing.
It's so good.
The difference between OLED and the regular TVs was so good. But then 55-inch TV for that was like $8,000.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Expensive. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's like a decent second car.
Somewhere on a South Korean news broadcast, a picture of me and one of my colleagues was broadcast.
How would you find that?
So they came in. It was around the launch of, I think, the second set of OLEDs, and they wanted to take a picture of someone like selling one in the UK because they were doing really well or something. And they were like, "Oh, it's going to be broadcast. Give me your email, and I'll send you it like when it happens." And they did, and it actually, I just completely forgot about it. A month later, I had an email from a Korean sort of random guy with a YouTube link to it. I was like, "Wow,
dude.
Oh, wow. We
Eddie's
need
new
that.
career K-pop star.
yeah, man, that was."
We need that juicy content. I want to see Eddie selling TVs.
Yeah.
I
What's
mean,
that, dude?
tell you what, when I do the VOD, or however we're ending up doing the VOD for this, I'll see if I can find it. We can either have it in the description or overlaid, because wow,
After the
it's
description.
yeah.
I'm curious now.
OLEDs, man, they're so good. We did like a proper training session on TVs at one point, and we went to an airport and they had all the different brands there, and completely dark room, seeing the difference of an OLED to a regular like LED. Just the fact it's when there's blacks on a regular TV, even if you're watching in the dark, you see that slight glow still coming off the TV when it's on.
Yep.
Mhm.
I know why that works.
With an OLED, you don't have that. It's completely dark.
Pixel is individually lit.
My
Yep,
phone is that
exactly.
I was going to say that. So, Protox,
Forward
you're
on.
right on the point. It's like the cheapest way to get an OLED movie experience, and I used to tell customers this, was to buy the S9. I think it was the S9,
Mhm.
the first phone that had the OLED screen. And then at the same time, they were doing the bundle with that Google VR headset,
Yeah.
the Oculus one.
Mm.
Boom, Netflix OLED screen. Basically, put on some headphones and you got a full cinematic experience for like
So
$1,000
good for a phone. Like, no, not for a phone, for a plane. Like a plane journey with that on. It'd be so
Yeah.
nice.
Imagine playing Minecraft on the plane and you like walk around and you're like,
You're just hitting somebody with an invisible pickaxe.
Mm-hmm.
that actually, the first time I did get a little bit motion sickness in that, because it's just such a surreal feeling in VR when you're like flying in creative mode and stuff like that, and you're looking down. It's just the depth of field is so realistic that you almost feel like you are floating in that regard. I can't wait for 4D gaming experiences. Like eventually it's going to come to the point where we've got some gaming chair that you plug into your computer and it will move the way that obviously your game will. It's going to happen eventually.
Pretty weird.
Or like,
For like
what
any
we
kind
call
of
the,
simulator game, would be amazing.
Yeah.
Ready Player One with that full body suit that tries to simulate sensation that your character would feel. It's probably
Yeah,
something.
I know.
Mhm.
I know. What you're for.
That movie was
I
good.
know exactly where that's gonna go.
Oh
It was a lot of
no,
fun.
dude, you didn't have to
Why
say
would they
that.
simulate? Like, remember the bad guy who gets kicked in the nuts? Like, why would that be a feature of the suit? Like, that's just so bad.
I mean,
Exactly.
you know, it's a double-edged sword. You leave the you leave the sensors on there. Chances you might get hit in the nuts. Like you need to know when to turn that thing off.
Dude, I could just see people abusing that in games
Or
where
wear
you
a
can
cup.
like harass people on a like I don't like Rust, like people kicking each other and whacking each other with rocks everywhere.
I would
Oh my
imagine the
God,
smart way to
never
do
listened.
it is that by default, certain game modes deactivate certain things. So it's like, okay, if you're coming into a PvP game where people can inflict damage on each other, it turns off sensors around the sensitive parts automatically, and you can't turn them back on. Or maybe you could manually override them, you know, masochistic, but yeah, by
Yeah.
default, going into this game mode, it's going to say, no, you're going to regret it. Turn this off.
Mm-hmm.
But
So,
we can't let Razer get a hold of it because then everyone's going to be freaking glowing RGB.
I'm down. I'm down for, you know, just like a couple of
Tron
RGB stripes
suits.
down like the arms and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Walking
there you
down
go.
the street, RGB everywhere.
Dude, so I'm rebuilding my computer. I'm building my. I built this tower 5 years ago, pretty much on the date, like somewhere in July 2015. And I'm upgrading it because I can't play RuneScape and record at the same time. My CPU freaking hates it, and my videos are a testament to that. And
Wait, what
so
software?
I'm upgrading.
How
How am I recording? I'm recording with what's it? XSplit Gamecaster,
you
and it's just
Yeah, try
once
your
you-
Shadowplay. Much
I-
better. Sorry.
maybe. I mean, I might, but like, it only freaks out when I first fire up the program. So if I first turn it on, all I really have to do is wait a few seconds before I start rattling on about what I was going to rattle on about, and most of the stuttering is going to pass. But I was using an old i5 4400s or 4000 series processor, and so I upgraded those parts. And I got some faster RAM, and everything is LED lights now. So
Yep.
my RAM blows. I don't.
That's lovely, dude. You have Trident
It is.
ZRGB.
The thing is that my tower doesn't have a panel on it.
No,
So it's like the
dude.
inside of my
Oh,
the inside of my
that's-
tower looks like a freaking Christmas tree. But okay,
Sleep.
the beauty to this, the silver lining. Okay, so my tower sits up on top of a dresser next to my desk because I have very little room left in my room. My fiance goes, if you're gonna have that tower on top of that dresser, I want it to at least look nice. So I went and bought a tower that has a tempered glass panel on the side, so I can now look at all the pretty lights.
Yes.
So that's going to be showing up
Yes,
on
dude.
Wednesday, and then I get to reinstall all the parts yet again because I had to swap out the motherboard, so I pretty much had to tear out the whole tower.
What
and start
GPU did
over.
you get?
I didn't upgrade my GPU. There was no point. It's RuneScape. I'm still running a 960, and it has not failed me at all. There isn't a single game that I play that suffers from the limitations of a GTX 960. I will upgrade it eventually.
Yeah, try using Shadowplay.
mean-
It's literally the best. Like no person. Like
I used to use Shadowplay back when I played a lot of Rust. I would turn on Shadowplay when someone was cheating, so I could get footage of it. But yeah, I might have to do it again. Well,
What?
I played on a server with a set kind of rules. I played on a faction server, so there was like certain rules to when you couldn't kill somebody. And so you would want Shadowplay ready to rock and roll in case somebody shot you in like a safe zone or something like that. And so that was when I used it. I miss that server. I should play it again, but I don't have any free time.
Go in
Rust
the
is a
future, 'cause
commitment.
you'll be surprised. Like,
I was
it
gonna
does
say-
0 performance loss, really high quality.
Because
Yeah.
wouldn't
But
Rust
I mean, I'm
be
running an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X now, so like
Yeah,
it
but
should
I've
be able
even
to keep
found
up, but if it
Shadowplay
doesn't-
is better quality. Like, I'm seriously saying it's like I record
Yeah.
at 45 megabits per second, like max it out, and if you've seen the videos of the Mad Max stuff, like that's the quality you get. It's literally straight from Shadowplay.
all right, I'll have to try it out because I mean, yeah, I literally just grabbed the first things I knew, and I think what I did was way back when I did those Soul Reaver videos that were awful. I Googled like free recording software, and XSplit, Gamecaster, and Broadcaster came up, and so I was like, oh, okay, I'll use those. And then it was like, okay, free editing software, VSDC free video editor. All right, cool, I'm using that, and I love this program. I actually love it. It's probably not as good as like Premiere or anything, but it works. It's a little laggy on the playback, but it's none of that shows when you export it, so that's nice.
You're not the only person that I've spoken to that uses VSDC. Like, for people that are just getting into it and don't know if they want to really do content creation and make lots of videos, it's such a good, just free alternative.
Shadowplay's free.
Shadowplay
Yeah.
is free, and I don't know why I didn't think to use it. I don't know.
Like,
I'll have to-
I didn't at first
to
as well.
get it
I
again.
recorded for
Yeah.
years without it. I was like, hold up, I have an NVIDIA card. Someone just told me to just use Shadowplay. I was like, hold up. That's the thing.
Wait a minute. Does Shadowplay run off your GPU instead of your CPU?
I'm pretty sure it just runs off your. It's just something you get with your GPU. I don't know if it runs specifically from your GPU, but because it's integrated, I assume it
shares the
zero
load, I guess.
performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if it does happen to run off my GPU, that's actually better because RuneScape barely touches your GPU. It really just runs your CPU raw.
Wait
So-
until you turn on MSAA, dude. I tested it with one video. It sucks like 30-40% of your GPU for some reason.
Yeah, I'll have to test it out.
But
I've
other than
got
that,
a
not really,
rain
you're
meter
right.
that plugs. I've got my
Eric,
rain
what do you
meter
use for
dial that
streaming?
can tell me all that info.
Video?
For streaming, I used to use the Shadowplay thing as well. Well, not Shadow, but just GeForce Experience.
Yeah.
But I switched to Streamlabs because you had like
I
all
use-
the things.
Oh,
Good
actually,
lord.
no. I use Stream Elements now.
Wait, that's the same
Stream
thing.
Elements.
No, Stream Elements is a different one. Stream Elements is the one with the rocket,
OBS,
right?
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
it's
Yeah.
OBS. It's like awesome plugins, like the chats there, everything. It's from what I've had. Like I've used Stream Elements, Stream Labs, but Stream Elements seems to be way more focused for Twitch integration.
I mean, Streamlabs has got chat and stuff in it now as well. Like they've kept updating it. I think it's.
Yeah.
I'm using Streamlabs like right now, but I've got regular OBS as well. Just that's what I use for recording because I can add overlays and stuff.
Elements, just give it a peek, and you'll see some things that are in that is just slightly better than Labs for certain things.
I'll have to check that out because I just use Broadcaster, and it's like, I mean, Eddie, you've seen what the results are. It pretty much functions like OBS does. You just keep adding sources.
It does, but you also managed to break it a few times, and I'm not sure how you broke the audio. So
I'm an idiot and don't really understand how audio. That's why.
See, I think this sort of chat is good for people watching, because if anyone was, looking to enter into that sort of field, YouTube or Twitch, learning from our mistakes is very important. Like, we've gone through the hurdles already to get set up, and you can basically streamline it by just listening to the things that work for us and don't work.
Mm-hmm.
Except for me, guys. Don't listen to me at all, please. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't follow my route. I'm just lazy and learning things.
He's got hate.
It's like, okay. Dude. Don't play. I haven't been able to walk since July 4th, okay? I crawled to my desk today.
Damn, dude.
Wait, how? It's been a week. What did you do?
I'm asking the same question.
Sounds like you had leg day, but I know you have burnt feet. That's different. Like, leg day does that.
I've got like actual like burn scars on my feet. Like, this is more than just a sunburn at this point.
How the fuck? What did you like? Stand on like the like some electric oven plate thing?
No, the tops of my feet, not the bottoms of my feet.
Wait, what? That's even weirder.
Wearing thongs?
How? If you're sitting in a kayak, like.
Oh, right. Oh, like Sunburn. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Kathaars feet. I hate you, Eddie. Oh, dude. Okay, so like, all right. So 4th of July, right? Big thing here. Okay.
His OnlyFans. Oh my god, he's selling feet.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'll put that on my OnlyFans. Okay, pictures
There
of my
we go.
raw feet. All right. So 4th of July, big thing over here in Yankeeville. I don't really care about it, but my fiance was like, "Hey, so we're gonna go visit family, and we're gonna, they live over by the ocean. We're gonna kayak." I was like, "That sounds fun. Sure, I'm gonna do that." And I've never kayaked in my life. I thought it'd be fun. It was until it wasn't. So we go out. We're on the water. We're kayaking around. It's a lot of physical labor, by the way, but it was fun. And because it was overcast, I didn't really think about it, and I didn't put sunblock in nearly all the places I should have, including the top of my feet. And so we're out on the water for like 3.5 hours, and I get back, and I mean, by the time I got home, I'm literally sitting on my. I got home, passed out for like an hour, woke up, my entire body was on fire. I like.
It's that evening warmth, yeah.
Yeah, I crawl back up to the living room. I'm literally like just rocking back and forth in my chair, shaking uncontrollably because I am in so much pain. My fiance is just like getting the aloe and just going to town, whole body, putting aloe everywhere. Jesus, and it was a really bad experience. But my feet are so fried now. Like, the rest of my body's fine. I'm peeling it. I'm having a good time. It's so fun and entertaining to do. Nothing hurts. But my feet, I can't walk. Oh, it's very satisfying. super satisfying.
See, I am blessed with psoriasis, so I have constant peeling of skin. It is a beautiful thing and a curse at the same time.
That's great.
Oh,
but Laser Shark wants to be interviewed. But yeah, I'll have to send y'all some pictures of it, because like I went out. I do voice acting classes, or I'm taking like a 4-course voice acting class, because that's really what I want to do. You know, I want to entertain people, and that's why I do this YouTube series, because I want to entertain people with something I'm familiar with, RuneScape, doing something I'm not familiar with, Iron Man. But
does it only? Huh. kind of ironic, you know, the desert. You get
Yep.
burnt in the
Yep.
desert.
Yep.
Yeah.
Burned.
Yep.
Burned. I gotta make sure to. I gotta check my character, make sure he's keeping himself covered. But yeah, not to segue too hard, but I've never played an Iron Man account before, so I didn't want to. I was like, why start over when I could just keep playing my main? You know, I
Exactly.
play mostly DIY on my main anyway. Really go out of my way to buy something if I can just go get it myself, unless it's super tedious. Like, oh, I need 100,000 rune essence. I'll just buy it. You know.
Yeah. 'cause
But
ruin engines.
yeah. So when I decided I wanted to make an Iron Man, I was like, okay, you know what? If I'm gonna make an Iron Man, I'm gonna make it interesting. And then, so I did what I did. But going back to Kathaar's feet, because that's the current topic.
Mhm.
I think we're good. I think I covered it. Like, oh wait, no. So I voice acting. I did the class. I went. I was like, I got up and I could walk. My feet didn't hurt. It was great. I popped some ibuprofen anyway, just in case. Put some shoes on. Went to the thing. Came back, and because it's like 100 degrees over here right now, Fahrenheit. That's like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's hot.
Okay.
30.
American units.
Yeah. Just consider Fahrenheit as a percentage of how hot it is. 0 Fahrenheit, it's not hot at all. 100 Fahrenheit, it's 100 hot. Okay. If it goes over 100, it's really damn hot. But
At least it isn't Calvin.
100 that day.
Yeah.
Kelvin's weird. But trick. So obviously I'm sweating. I drive an 84. I drive a car made in 84. The AC is gone.
Oh god.
So
no,
I'm
dude.
sweating. I come back, and so that means the skin on my feet has finally peeled, or it's finally ready to peel. And I peel it back, feeling good. It's great. And my fiance is looking at this dry, dead skin underneath, and she goes, "You need to put allicane on that." And so allicane has lidocaine in it. Lidocaine burns. I put this stuff on, and it was like day one sunburn all over again. I'm screaming from the bathroom, "I hate you!" Like, it's,
Oh god.
what have you done to me?
That's
It's
like
awful.
murder or something, like from the other,
Yeah,
like, from
pretty
your
much.
neighbors. Oh,
Oh no, I have neighbors all over the place too, so they're probably thinking the same thing. And so I'm literally starting from square one. I got up this morning and I limped into the living room and then limped back to the bed because I couldn't stand the pain anymore.
Oh,
Oh, man.
So it's bad, and
Poor
I just
Sunburn.
really hope I'm good by Saturday so I can take my final class in my final VA class.
well,
And,
Permanent scars on my shoulders from sunburn.
yeah. What is everyone's worst sunbird experience?
not
I'm
this
literally
one. I
burnt
actually
What?
have a worse one, but I'll let you go.
God, Jim from the land of the sun and the desert.
So, Australia, it's a beautiful country, but God, it's hot. We have the sun blaring on us to the point that obviously the bushfires, and you guys all know about that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
mhm.
A couple of years ago, I went to the water park because it was a hot day, and me being the stupid young 18-year-old was like, I don't need sunscreen. I literally came home to the point where my skin was about 4 layers deep off my shoulders.
Jesus
And
Christ.
yeah,
Yep.
I've got permanent like
Mm.
scars. It kind of looks like I've got like birthmarks on my shoulders, just like from where the scabs were. And this is a lesson to everyone: wear your goddamn sunscreen. Don't just think you're a hero because you're not wearing it. Don't think it takes too much time to put it on. I'm an example of what can happen if you do not wear it. And trust me, I couldn't move. I was in bandages. I was stuck in bed for like 2 months to let it heal.
Jesus.
Yeah. Wow, you've actually
Yeah.
got me beat.
Australian, that's what we do.
Eric,
So,
any bad?
I've been burnt pretty bad, but not like that bad. I've been burnt
Yeah.
because I had an internship at a construction company. I don't like want to do physical work, but to understand things, I had to like know what they did, like carpenters, for example.
Mm.
Because I'm the one that like designs and calculates stuff.
Oh,
And,
you're an architect?
Well, I wanted to go for architect. I'm going to switch. I got my like lower level degree. It's different here, but I'm going to go
Okay.
for like a different bachelor.
Okay.
Yeah, I was burnt pretty bad because I just didn't focus on the sun at all. because I was too focused on my first day there, and I just came out and completely burned.
For me, I think it's any time I've been like near the water, so similar to you, Kathaar, with the kayak, and you just don't realize how much the reflections off of the water actually add to it. I think maybe it was one of the days when I was in San Francisco, because that was. And I know San Francisco normally has fog, but
I was gonna say like the UK has the sun. What? So okay.
I've
San
done
Francisco.
I've got a few countries. I've been over New Zealand. You know, that's no ozone over there, so even worse. So yeah, kayaking in New Zealand, I remember a pretty bad one, but I think San Francisco, because it was like the first time. It was going from September, October over here, where it is literally just clouds, into sun. So it's always that first exposure to huge amounts of sun for me that's the worst. And I was red. I was a strawberry. It was not a pretty sight. But luckily, it was only. I was sort of covered apart from my face, so it wasn't like the horrible pain of any time you put a shirt on or anything like that. I didn't have to deal with that.
And when you sleep, try to sleep.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I think I kind of know Eddie and Eric's music taste, and segueing here.
Yeah.
Kathaar, what music are you into?
It changes. Right now, I'm really big into, for some reason, retrowave and synthwave. But outside of that, it's usually rock, metal.
I think we're all basically metalheads here.
Yes.
Nothing too gnarly. Like, I'm not really into like screamo stuff. Or it's like, if I can't at least sort of understand the lyrics, I don't like.
So like
Similar.
You're that guy. I get it.
I like.
Get it. You're that guy.
Nah, like when it's just
like Cannibal Corpse is trash. Just saying. Like Disturbed, Bring Me the Horizon, Breaking Benjamin, Korn, etc. Like Emure, Palisades.
Yeah. I actually don't like Korn, and I don't know why.
The older songs are pretty, in my opinion.
I think it's his voice. I can't stand his voice.
Huh.
On the flip side, I love Slipknot though.
Oh, I'm the other way around.
Yeah.
It's because they toe that line. They get into the, but not too much that it's like that's your whole song is just like, that shit.
Well, I mean, some of their first album's pretty out there, Slipknot.
It's their first album is pretty out. But it's so that kind of, it's kind of where my musical tastes lie. But I haven't really been listening to that at all. Like right before this, I was listening to the guy who does my Desert Only intro. Like I really love that song, and there are no lyrics. It's borderline retrowave. It's not really retrowave, but I don't really know what to call it. I'm give it a minute. I'm sure my fiance will come screaming it from the other room. It's this, or something. This is similar music.
Maybe before we can actually hear that.
Oh, I don't know. I told her the stream was up, so I don't know if she's actually watching. But anyway.
So moving from like general music taste, does anyone have a favorite gig they've been to?
Oh.
Yeah, me being Aussie again. Parkway Drive, Australian.
I've only been to one, so it would be Black Sabbath in Irvine. It's the only concert I've been to.
That's not bad as a one, is it really?
Yeah, no. That was my first and last one, so. But yeah, Ozzy, it just fun time. He was a lot of fun to watch, except for he is very much getting old. Yeah. It was kind of fun to watch him. He was like on stage, and like he'd walk up to the end of the stage, and he'd like lean down, and you can tell he wanted to like interact with the crowd, but his back said no. So he would just kind of like lean forward a little bit and start clapping along with them. Like you could tell he wanted to like do things, like, but he couldn't. Yeah. So it was kind of funny. And watching an old man with a really great voice wandering around on stage being fun.
Do you remember who the support acts were? Sorry, do you remember who the support acts were, Kathaar? Because that's always fun. I love going to a gig and not knowing quite who you're going to see before the main
act, Blue Chunks. It was one guy, and it was really stupid. He was, I'm your metal DJ, man, and he up there with a laptop hooked up to some speakers, mixing random metal songs. And I was like, I hate you. I don't know what you are, but I hate you. That was pretty much it. Like, it wasn't other bands. It wasn't anything. It was just this guy with a laptop. And I was like, there's a place for that. That's a Seven Lions concert. That's not an Ozzy concert.
Like,
okay?
that's the sort of thing that you just have before a support act and between bands while they're setting up normally. Like,
yeah, but there were no other bands. It was just Black Sabbath. Yeah.
Something about the epidemic that really has gotten to me lately is there's no gigs, because I go to so many metal gigs. Just I can't not go to one, because there's just something about that live music, the atmosphere that is just
it's just the
addictive.
pure energy.
Yeah.
When it comes to metal, it's
like,
kind
I'm
of
in the
made for
mosh. Like, I'm
something.
always in the mosh, like the Circle Pits, Wall of Deaths, all of that stuff. I'm right at the front and center, because that is just so fun. And people are like, "Oh, it's angry devil music," and it's like, no, it's just people who have,
angry devil music.
people who just want to let go and enjoy themselves. It's no different than people at a rave. It's just obviously a different style of dancing.
Yeah. I mean, my most recent gig was end of February, so like kind of a couple of weeks before everything stopped, and it was Baby Metal.
That's a good one.
It was amazing. It was so cool. At one point, everyone was sitting on the floor rowing. I don't know.
Rowing, like actually,
like pretending to row. It's beautiful.
What?
Yeah,
that's the thing they do.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's
we usually do that for ballad songs. So like, if it's just like a pretty like 4x4 song, we're just gonna sit down and row just to chill until the next song comes on that's more heavy, so that we can go back to moshing.
Give everybody a break, some time to breathe.
Yeah. A lot of bands have stolen the Slipknot jump, which I forget what song it is that they played in. But yeah, everyone gets down on the ground and then they go 3, 2, 1 and everyone jumps. So a lot of bands are doing that now.
Hey, if it's fun.
So Eric, what about yourself? You gotta
never. I don't like it much. Just because I've been to like small festivals and stuff around certain times of the year, but not really to a concert. If that's what you meant with a gig.
Yeah, I mean, well, or like favorite band you've seen live, that sort of thing, I guess. But
yeah, none really, because I don't really like the live sound personally. I'm not a fan of like extremely loud versions of it. It just sounds better if it's like recorded in the studio, in my personal opinion.
It can
so
do.
I'm like the opposite.
Sometimes though, some performances are better live. Like there's something about actually feeling the music.
That's what I was about to say.
It's the drums.
Yeah.
Like when you feel the drums going through you.
there's like, usually when it comes to songs, they're really two forms. There are songs that were made to be listened to on a pair of headphones. Like they're made for the studio. That's where they shine. And there are songs that are just made to be played live, and that's just kind of how it is. Like like songs that you hear that are made to play in the studio and you hear them live, they don't sound good. They really don't.
Okay.
Going to Parkway Drive again, they're more focused for live stuff now. And part of the things that they do, like there's songs that you now listen to and you think of the live version, because when you go to the concert with Parkway Drive in particular, we sing the guitar part. Like we actually sing the melody out loud, and it's just, that's the version of the song I now know. It's not the record one, it's the live version. And it's just so cool to have like literally 10,000 people singing the melody to a guitar like riff.
It does sound pretty cool.
I'm trying to think of my favorite. Like, I think my favorite overall, including support acts, it was a band called Leprous. I don't know if any of you will have heard of them.
Nope.
No, they're quite like a progressive sort of, more prog metal.
Dude, prog metal's great though.
And then Tesseract.
No.
And
heard of them.
No, and then Devin Townsend was the main, and he played through one of his first albums like entirely. It was just the actual quality of sort of the live performance and the sound mixing. Again, like sometimes you do get some slightly off mixing and stuff where you can't quite hear bits, but it was the whole way through that gig was really good. And yeah, Leprous, I've seen them 3 times now, and live
and
is so
bring
good.
up when you do this video, bring up this photo of the set list for this concert. So it was Soundwave 2013. We had Metallica and Linkin Park headlining. We had Stone Sour, Bullet for My Valentine, Anthrax, Slayer. Like the big 4 were at this festival. It was crazy. Blink 182, Paramore, Sum 41, Billy Talent. Like, how epic is that lineup?
How did they get everyone there? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Funny story. Okay, so
Paramore,
I can tell
vlogging
about
all
this. The way that they did Soundwave was they actually paid people from so they wouldn't get paid for doing the show until the next year's ticket sales. That's how they did it. And this is why Soundwave in Australia died, because it got to the point where 1 year the shows had to be cancelled because of weather or something like that. But then they fell behind and they couldn't pay. I think it was this one actually. They couldn't pay Metallica or Linkin Park, and that's what led to them going bankrupt. But what an epic way to go out on! Like that set list is just epic. That's definitely my best festival I've ever been to.
It does sound like the amount of like the bands that were there. That sounds pretty sick.
It had something for everyone. Like you had all of the scene bands, which was Bring the Horizon, Amity Affliction, Sleeping with Sirens. You had the metalcore bands, which was Kill Switch, Engage. Even Fozzy, Chris Jericho's band, he was there.
Got like a nervous twitch there.
Wait, what? What's wrong with that?
You got to. Is there like a thing you could take for that? I'm just.
No, just tea, yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't had his teeth.
Yeah,
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not a coffee.
Oof, dude.
Yeah, why did you say that? Eric is not a fan now. Oh, no, Eric, you should try and get yourself to a gig at some point, man. Obviously, it might be a little bit, but it's certainly an experience.
If Disturbed or something comes to Amsterdam, I might consider it.
Also, there's nothing wrong with coffee.
Oh no, actually, I do drink coffee, but it's a joke. I used to like fake being pissed off of people that like coffee in my comment section.
Oh yeah, no, I get it.
But no, not anymore. So don't worry.
Well, funny thing about
like
Mad Max is it's a mistake. I fucked up when I was making the account.
Wait.
Sorry, repeat that.
Here's some exclusive for this one. Yeah, I fucked up. It was meant to be an Iron Man.
Oh no!
Huh?
It feels like it was meant to be an Iron Man. It's a Mainscape, right?
Yeah, when I created the account, because I've never done it before, I thought you chose to be an Iron Man once you're in like the world. I didn't see it as an option when you're creating your character. So I went in and I started the game and I'm like, all right, how do I become an Iron Man? And I was stuck with an account that was a Mainscape account.
I mean, do you regret that or do you not? Because that's the real question here.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
I mean, it's like working, right?
I mean, it would have worked if it was an Iron Man as well, though. I think. I don't think it would have mattered in terms of like viewers.
A lot of people think that I'm farming the account as well with like bonds and keys, but it's not. Like I've got basically the same rules as an Iron Man, but I do have access to trade in the GE. I'm not using MTX or stuff like that.
Yeah, but you've always got that room for people to go, he's obviously buying his stuff. But it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, the same thing. It's only a matter of time before walked out of the desert to go do something. Like, it doesn't, like, there's always going to be somebody who says that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think the series evolved past the idea of me maxing, and it's more about the story now anyway.
Yeah, no, I was watching your interview and the way you were, like, describing how the series progressed, because I still haven't watched it.
But
that all the free time.
You also said you didn't want to boss as much because because of like the series. Because
it's literally a time waste for me.
But at the same time, why doesn't that make
bossing?
sense? Because you need to make your money, right? to max?
I've got all my money. I'm done.
You got everything banked?
Yep.
Oh. Huh.
It's just putting the grind in, I guess, for those skills.
I will say though, you will probably have a down point after you max. Like after you max, you're gonna feel different about the game. I guarantee you it. Very different.
I think
To be honest,
I
you're
will
ready for
probably
that,
start a
aren't
new
you?
account.
I
You
have
what?
never wanted to boss less than after I maxed.
Yeah, I'll probably start a new account if I max, because to me, maxing is just like the end of a chapter on that account.
Will it be an Iron Man though?
Correct the mistake.
Well, you remembered it.
Will
being
it
Don't
be
an
fuck it up.
Iron Man.
That's a good question, because yeah, the original, like in episode 1 and 2, I said if I complete this in a year, then the next goal is to do the same challenge in a year on an Iron Man. And obviously, from doing this, I look at that challenge and go, I don't know, because it's so stressful to feel confined to a time limit now in retrospect, because it's like I can't do anything else. I'm stuck doing the skills. I can't have the freedom to go do any of the mini games. I don't have the freedom to go PVM with some of the guys, because it's again taking away from the time to max. Because if you look at maxcape.com, I'm 60% of the way through. We're 60% of the way through the year, and I've put hundreds of hours into that account already. And it's like, well, I've got the big skills coming up: agility, woodcutting, fishing. They're going to take the most time. They're not AFK, so that's basically
Buy
what I'm not
Silverhawks,
used to.
please.
Silverhawks,
Just
yeah.
do PVM and do it that way, because you will trust me. If you want to stay sane, do that. Otherwise,
Well,
you
we
will
do have
just
a
want
nice event coming up, the summer one, which
Ah,
is
yes.
No. The beach for agility is not good. It's like rolling a ball, and you have to click. It's very active.
But they might have changed it. We don't know. We don't know.
Maybe, but I doubt that they recycle stuff.
Besides, nothing beats the hole.
Exactly. Well, that's coming back. There's going to be a hole in the beach.
I know. I love the only reason it's coming back is turned into a giant meme.
Well,
It's
why did you?
fantastic.
It's just literally nothing. It's like literally like. I
Your
mean,
character isn't even on screen. It's beautiful.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's nothing. Also, it's a skill that people hate to train because just like construction, it's out of date. No one wants to train it.
exactly.
Everybody trains it through Elite Dungeons, which pisses me off to no end. That
Oh,
they
Elite
added
Dungeon's
this shortcut.
It's
Elite
good.
Dungeons
It,
need
it gets these guys views, you know,
requirements.
Kathaar.
I mean, yeah, no,
ED3
yeah,
gets.
exactly.
It gets these guys views.
83, dude.
Gotta buy my chocolate bar somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, Easyscape 3. That's what it is.
Huh.
I mean, I'm
this
glad.
guy.
I'm glad they finally nerfed like the trash farming, because it's like, okay, guy walks in level 10, walks out level 70 a couple hours later. Like, what the? Okay,
They did it wrong. They should have done it. They should have literally just added like 90
Dungeoneering
engineering.
requirements,
Just
yeah.
stop.
I
Giant
mean,
would have been so easy. Just do it. Like
80 would have made sense because it's Elite Dungeons, Elite Skilled required 80. So I think 80 would have been a good.
I would have been fine with
Point, yeah.
even just 50 dungeoneering requirement, but just going in there with zero requirements at all, it felt. Think of every other training method in the game that was designed to be a combat training method. It came into the game with that intention, and it's just all of those are completely pointless now. Because
well, apart from Slayer,
because of
because
Elite
you have to train Slayer at some point.
Well, Slayer is an
have one
exception
aspect
because you're training Slayer. You're not just training combat. You're training another skill, but something that is designed to just train combat, Fight Cauldron, Shattered Worlds, and then of course you have things like Armored Zombies, stuff like that. But all of that pointless because you can now get carried through a dungeon, get free experience without any risk of dying, and get a ton of cash in the process. There is no work involved.
Well,
There is no
There's
risk
work.
involved.
There is work.
Like-
It's a lot of hours.
It's just.
I
3
mean,
times
it's
less
not
than
even a
usual.
lot of hours. You could get base 70s in just a couple hours. It just- it
wait.
felt-
People actually do it from level 1. What the fuck?
Yeah, a buddy of mine did it from like
Oh my god.
they had maybe base 20 combats, which takes like
Just
not even an
Waterfall
hour to
Quest
get.
or.
You know, yeah, do a waterfall quest and you're done.
Well,
It was
people-
that easy. And
I
this is
thought-
pre-nerf. Granted, this is pre-nerf. They've now you really actually need to be carrying your own weight to get those rewards, which is
Still
beyond
the
fair
best
in my
XP.
opinion. It's still amazing experience, yeah,
It's
but
still
at
good
least
for Iron
you had
memes.
to. At least it's experience worthy of what the work you're putting in.
Yes.
Like, I mean, Shattered Worlds, you've got to you get great experience from it, but you got to put in the work. Like, you have to have the gear. You have to actually pay attention. And of course, you're running it solo, so you're not getting carried through it by somebody wearing full T92. That was just my issue with it. It felt like there was just way too much reward for pretty much no work. And I still feel it needs like a dungeoneering requirement for how much dungeoneering experience it can give you. It should have a requirement to it, because people
Imagine
were like,
if you just
you don't even
Runescape, your friends telling you about PVM. Like, this is the one thing I could give it an excuse for. Your friends are like, come PVM with me, and it's like, well, I don't want to spend, the next 4 months getting all the, time and effort to get there. I want to do it now, and just enjoy some PVM with my friends for, a couple of weeks. That's the sort of person I think that appeals to, is just a race through so that they can get to the levels of being able to PVM. And then they're probably going to buy bonds anyway for their money if they're that sort of person.
Yeah, and that's probably just me going against the grain with how MMOs work, because I always thought the concept of World of Warcraft selling you a maxed account with every expansion was stupid too. But people do it.
Actually,
forget the grind, man. I want to get straight to the new raids. Okay,
good, I can speak to you. I've had this conversation again. I think it was the podcast, but I was like, there's two mindsets of people. Actually, I think I said it in one of my MTX videos. There's two mindsets of people, and you come from a background that sounds like me. We come from very poor, rough backgrounds and stuff like that, where we take everything that we get as a blessing, and we really appreciate every single dollar that we earn. Whereas there's people who sort of take that for granted, and that's the two different mindsets. But the way that I had to train myself, like if you go back and watch the me opening 400 keys or whatever it was, I felt bad when I originally made that video, because I was like, this is wrong. I should not be getting this much XP. Jagex, what are you doing? You're breaking the game. But then I sort of got a feedback from that from other players, which is like, I work literally 50-hour weeks. I don't have the time to put in the same as some kid who goes to high school and they've got hours upon hours to put into the game. I earn my money, I work hard, but I don't want to miss out on the content as my friends because I can't put in the hours that they can. And that's what changed my perception of that.
Oh yeah, no, and I'm in agreement with that for the most part, because I don't have any time to do anything. I barely touch my main account, and I'm doing it while I'm if I'm ever on my main account, it's also while I'm at work, because I kind of have that luxury with the whole quarantine thing. But like I get that. It's just I don't know, and it makes sense. It's a valid argument, and people are gonna do it. There are people who don't have the time, and they need to, they're going to use that avenue to keep up. And it's probably because I'm already maxed that I feel this way. Because there's it's just a level of like, I don't, and for me, it's more so I don't care about the people who buy their way to the end. What bothers me is when Jagex illegitimizes other content. Like,
I see that.
It's not so much you spent a few $100s to get where you are. I don't care. That's fine. You still don't know F all about the game, and you're going to have to learn it, and that's going to take.
Oh, where could I charge my phone? I'm sure it doesn't matter. I'm sure there's nothing important going on.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
I missed this guy. He really kept the thing together. Like, I mean, without Ed, we'd be aimless and
Yeah.
I see his face like on screen, like
So, fun fact about Araxor. I went in thinking that I needed poison. Why don't you need poison?
Why does it say here's a topic of great regret?
Wait, what?
Oh, anti-poison?
Oh yeah, wait,
you do.
Depending on the phase.
The last phase you need anti-poison.
How do you know this,
You
Eddie?
kill it so fast.
Sorry?
How do you know this? Is it because of Wazzy?
How do I know what? Rax?
Yeah, like what phase it is exactly? What
because I have 650 odd Rax kills.
Jesus, that's more than me. What?
I'm gonna go there this evening. I want to get my bot leg.
I've got 3. Even I
Right.
know the phases though. Like I got literally one of the guys in Discord who PVMs a lot. He was basically talking me through it, and he's like, you got to count out the auto attacks, and then it's a random chance of whichever one it is. And yeah, I know the middle row really well now. It's that end phase that fucks me up. I can't. My eyesight's pretty bad, but that little blob thingy, I sometimes can't see it on that end phase.
Oh yeah,
The blob is the worst.
yeah.
I
the little sneaky
confirm.
boy.
Yeah,
No one likes him.
That kills me.
He's that kid in class that Okay, I was gonna make a joke, but it's not. It's 2S, I think.
Okay, good.
I will not say
Let's
that.
not do that then.
Probably a pretty dark joke as well. So no. I'll keep that to myself.
Okay, all right. Well, I think I've updated everything back to how it was, so that's going to be such a scuffed thing. However, we end up voting this, but
I mean,
whatever.
Just Scapers After
Whatever.
Dark. So
Just
Exactly.
like
Hey,
shut it down and have a picture of a cat hanging from the tree, just hang in there, with like some like those stupid, what was it, Cat in the Hat, I think did that movie.
it wouldn't be the premiere of a
Right.
show, would it, without some kind of technical glitch?
one of my
True.
favorite movies is that Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers. So good.
That's what I'm talking. So you know what I'm talking about. He cuts his tail off.
Yeah.
Or something. It cuts to
I've
to that,
seen.
yeah.
I've chopped it off.
and just it just cuts. Like you just get that perfectly cut scream. And yeah.
When
So yeah,
when it
just do
goes
something
full
like that.
seven.
Hopefully figure it out.
Let's take a look under the hood. Gets under the lounge, starts
Oh,
working it out.
see, I take offense to how you said that. Just kidding. I hate Southern people. Go ahead. Well, I'm kidding. I don't hate Southern people.
What? Digging yourself in a hole there, man.
It's fine. I'll reach a desert.
Ah,
Head in
I
the
love
sand.
when Cat was like, "It's better than the other translation. Too quick to the slow." You remember that one?
No, it's been a while since I've seen the movie. I just remember the scene with him cutting off his tail and then talking very dirty to some farming equipment. Was that it?
It's better than the last thing we had. Super hydraulic instantaneous transporter.
What were we
Oh.
talking about?
I got it.
No
I
what
got
is-
it.
I'm just sitting
I
here.
get the joke. I get the joke.
Like I've like been up before 5 a.m. for the last 5 days for work, so I'm kind of like a bit glazed. Like, that whole
Well, the problem
just-
is you were gone for a little while trying to fix this.
I know, but what were we
Me,
talking about
so-
before it died? I don't even.
People
I-
buying their way to 99s and also 83.
that
people
was it.
who-
Yeah.
Yeah, E3 and
Yeah.
stuff. Yep.
and as like a final note on that to close out, I guess I think my issue isn't with people buying their way. I don't care about how they got what they got. I care about how Jagex chooses to balance its game. For me, it's always about balance and every content having a purpose. And it just bugs me when it loses a purpose, especially when it's a huge swath of content like an entire skill.
And that's a good point to transition. Balance. Esports.
Oh,
Are we fans of
Okay.
esports, friends?
RuneScape is esports ready. Anyway, continue.
Yes. No.
Yes, no.
No, I don't think so.
I don't care about esports really.
Neither.
It's cool to watch sometimes, but it has to be a game that I'm really into. And currently, I'm not into any esports games. So, like, I used to watch before it shut down. There was an asymmetric PvP game called Nosgoth, and I used to watch them do their esports stuff. But I liked the game and I actually played it. So, esports has a place. I like what old school does. It's not really esports, and they scuff it up every time, but they're trying. I wish RS3 would give it a shot. Especially since I feel like RS3 has the room to do it. We've got the potential and the variety of content to do something like a Twisted League or to do something like a Dead Man mode. Instead, we had Darkscape that died, and then we
It was good.
bring
though.
back seasonal Darkscape. As a permanent fixture, it's bound to die out, and then what are you running the servers for? But as something that comes and goes so that people never really get burnt out on it, I feel like Darkscape has a place, definitely, especially if just like Twisted League's, what its main focus is, changes every season. Like Darkscape was a whole map experience, but if it's locked to certain regions each time, or there are certain objectives or certain handicaps or stipulations each time, I think that keeps it fresh and interesting. And I think that's what they're going to try to do with Twisted League. I mean, the first one was just Zaya, but they could end up doing something else like Mauritania only or something. I mean, that's kind of a big thing. So it's possible. I feel like if Darkscape, honest to God, just copies Twisted League to an extent with its own RuneScape 3 twist to it, it'd be fine. And as an esports kind of element, I think it could do well.
But then it's copying. They're gonna someone's gonna
Yeah, but hey, guess what? Old School's existence copies RS3. I don't care.
They had AOD
by the same company.
AOD, dude.
Yeah, and also you got to understand, it's still both owned by Jagex. Like I really love it when I jump on the Old School subreddit and they get so tilted about RS3 as if it isn't owned by the same really shady company that runs their game. Like,
good point.
But it has microtransactions. And it's like,
yeah,
that's perfect, dude.
That's a choice, right? You don't have to buy them. It's
like yes and no, but it is. Yeah,
people think you're obligated to buy microtransactions. Just because they're there doesn't mean you have to buy them.
Yeah, but the problem is they devalue whatever that person has played 15 hours a day for.
It doesn't even matter, dude, because bonds, and more importantly, real world trading in Old School is so rampant that it's like I can get a scythe for like $10. Like, ooh,
True.
And it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters in Old School is the only thing that matters in RS3. It doesn't matter how much money you have or what you bought with real world money. It's whether you actually know what you're doing. Like, somebody can buy a maxed account on Old School with all the best in slot gear to go do Chambers as Eric. And everybody else in that party will know immediately that sucker bought that account because they'll have no idea what they're doing. And they should know what they're doing. If you have that kind of gear and that kind of stats, you should know how to play. So it's and you can't buy that. You can go watch plenty of guides, but in the end, you still got to do it yourself a couple times to figure it out.
Exactly. Get us guide YouTubers views, dude. Let's do that. Come on.
Yeah. Help out Protox here. He's got this really original idea. They both have these really original ideas where they want to just make guides for people and help out. No one else is doing that. So, go support that original content. And I promise that'll probably be a jab at you guys. That's also a jab at me for the rest of the
you can say that. That's fine. Guides are not original ever unless it's new content.
Yeah, no, I'm only playing. That's my humor. If you haven't noticed.
No, sorry, God, good.
Just so long as nobody's taking me seriously. Okay?
Don't worry.
Just
no one in the YouTube comments will ever take anything seriously out of context at all.
Oh,
that
just
never happens.
Scumbags to follow you. Oh, well, you were sarcastic.
But
what's the biggest number your channel's grown in one day, Eric?
Subwise?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I have jumped a couple hundred subs in one day at one point.
Wow.
I think per month, probably 3,000 was the highest though. But I think that one day was I think Archaeology release or something. Don't remember.
Yeah.
Something around there.
Were you one of the first ones to get some sort of guide out for Archaeology?
Yes, the beginner's thing. Actually, I wasn't the first though. I think someone else. I think.
I know Harnix got one out there very quickly as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't Micro. He was too busy trying to make sure he made first page.
I mean, he had one within a couple of days.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, the man's an animal, but I knew even he had to take it. I knew it wasn't going to be him because he had.
It was literally XP waste for him to make a video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It was just okay, the dude's trying to make first page, and he's got some serious competition. So I know he is not going to be dropping videos for a while unless they're videos he had already made.
But he caught up. He had he does it for a job, right? And for him, streaming those 2 weeks. Oh boy, if
Bank,
you look at the sub count.
bank.
Think.
So I
Again,
actually
no-
made a
no
video
one wanna do
recently
it.
on Micro just breaking down his YouTube analytics into what that would roughly translate into money and stuff like that. And while I was making that video, it really made me realize, same with your channel, Eric, as well. It's just like higher sub count to like the thing that's unique to the RuneScape YouTube community is that people, obviously, we know RuneScape, they play hard for 6 months and then they go away for a couple of years and then they come back and forth. So your active subscribers, like if say Micro,
They're
for
dead.
example, 55, yeah, a lot of them are dead subscribers. Like they're not actively watching.
They're definitely like the most of the views, anyways. If you're a guide channel, are non-subs. I'm just gonna pay it straight up. Like probably 70% of my views are non-sub people that
that's
just look up one
And that-
video.
That
You've
makes
got to
sense.
have something
you
that
know?
really
It's-
draws them in and wants them to subscribe. Because I said this before about I'm sick of it. I watch so many of his guides, and for years I was not subscribed because I'd only look them up once every blue moon.
I do the same thing for a lot of like other games. I just don't. I don't sub. I just sit there. I do comment though, but I never like videos for some reason. I always forget. I don't know.
I think that's where a series
Well-
comes into play because you're giving them
Yeah.
something to invest in and something to return to. So
Oh
if you're
yes,
going,
yes.
you know, look at long-term subscribers, you've got to give them this episodic release that they can really,
wait.
want to be part of the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Right,
if it's in a certain time frame as well, they will. Like let's say Friday 5 p.m. you upload. Maybe that's like 3 a.m. for you, my time. But
Yeah.
if you always upload the same day for a series, the same time, at some point, like 10 episodes in, people are gonna. Some people you might not think, but they will literally like await the episode. Like they come from home from work.
Oh,
They know an
get
hour
that
later.
so much. Like, come on, when's the next Mad Max? When's it coming out? And I'm like, I'm
That's
trying. It gets longer and longer. You guys don't
Yeah.
understand. And when I'm going to 99, it's not the opposite way.
You know the
Exactly.
fix. You know the fix for that. You just show up with absolutely no schedule.
Yes.
You don't.
No, but yeah.
I from the very beginning, I told people I was like, I have no idea when these episodes are going to come out. They come out when they're done. Like as soon as I have one, I drop it to you guys because I can't wait. And I want to give it to you, even if it means that I upload at midnight my time for some reason.
Jesus.
It's like the video's ready, send it, and that's what I do. And no one cares. Like they don't seem bothered by it. Every once in a while, like I've got a couple people in my Discord going, "Hey, so like when's the next episode?" It's been a while, and it's like, yeah, I'm waiting on hardware. I would have another episode out by now if I wasn't waiting on hardware.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean,
I think that might
my.
change over time. That might
Oh,
change.
I was gonna say
it
my.
probably, I honestly
Oof,
will, but
Eddie.
it's not going to be this series. This series will probably stay the candid approach it takes. But moving forward, I'll probably like other series will have a more structured role on it because there is advantages to it. But like
Yeah,
Mr. Shark
why-
saying here, there are some disadvantages. You now
Why
have an
20
expectation to
I'm more
keep.
interested. Like I'm actually, because I've pulled out savings and I've basically bought myself a year of YouTube. So I've covered my bills for a whole year to really dive in head first. It's obviously a big financial risk, but it gives me the time to
shit.
really treat this as a job. And I've literally developed the schedule. And so basically, because it takes so long for me to do Mad Max, I'm going to do those every 2 weeks. I'm going to do a guide or just a funny video, whatever, every week in between. But then it's that consistent thing that Eric was talking about. They know when the video is going to go live every week to tune into it. And I did a little bit of a deep dive and I did some back end work for the last 2 weeks, obviously getting ready for this. So now I actually have a proper business number. Like everything is all professional now. And I
Nice.
wanted to do a little bit of experimenting. So I didn't upload for the last 2 weeks. I wanted to see what the numbers were doing. And basically what happens is if you don't upload a video within the 2 week period, literally exactly 7 days between a video not being uploaded, YouTube will stop recommending your video to other people because it's like you're not showing up to work. They're not going to reward you if you're not putting out that one video a week. And I needed that data to really understand because obviously Mad Max taking 2 weeks, how do I fill that gap? Because YouTube needs a video. So it's like, okay, this is where the idea of having a Let's Play series to fill the gaps is like in that schedule now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes you wonder what happens if you'd upload every day. How much difference that makes
I
to
used to do that.
because looking at Wazzy, for example, when archaeology started, he started literally doing stream highlights. He's literally just pressing record a clip, shoving them all together, and uploading it the next day, so people can catch up on what they missed in the last stream. And he's doing that daily, and they're very popular, like 2,000 plus views a day.
I'm gonna say something here. You don't
Yeah,
need
no.
to be like literally that as a streamer is such a good thing for growth. You don't no RuneScape Let's Play needs like crazy edits. Like other types of videos, yeah. But like
A
like
progression.
you don't need to
kind
make
of,
it an
yeah.
epic montage out of no. The only YouTuber I knew that edited like more. I mean, that's either and Laser Shark and Waterlicious. And other than that, I don't see many YouTubers putting in crazy edits or something over the
I
top.
mean, let's look at the biggest, excusing a friend, let's look at the biggest RuneScape YouTuber we currently have, Settled. He puts a lot of work into those edits. He does a lot to make Barrow's grind look interesting. So I would argue that while that'll like just, slapping together a quick montage without any crazy edits will get you 60% of the way. If you want to take it the rest of the way, you should put some passion and some interest in your videos the way that like Laser
Yeah,
Shark
I know what you mean.
does, stuff like that, where it's like,
Yeah.
It does give yourself like a
you'll
unique character.
entertain 60% of YouTube, 60% of RuneScape players who watch YouTube will be interested in just a progress video. That's just, you're just highlighting what happened, nothing too terribly interesting. But if you want to grab even more people, make it visually entertaining on top of that.
That's what I was
So
gonna
like
say, yeah.
another example is like Dark World Order. He blew up because he was throwing these great like cinematics in each one of his videos. Outside of that, it was just clips of progress like anything else, but he was throwing in that little bit of extra. Plus he was also doing something different.
Because
he
I
was
mean
doing something that a lot of people weren't seeing, which was an old school player giving RS3 a solid shot.
Yeah,
And those always seem to sell.
like
They
the
really do.
adding edits and stuff is something I wanted to do for my final boss series and stuff.
And you did.
And I did,
You did.
and I still do. But
Looks good.
I feel like I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't seem to work. Like for this generals video where I've got 100 kills from each generals, it's been up since Wednesday and it's got 35 views. I don't know, like I don't know what I'm missing. I don't want to sound, like I expect the views, but I don't know what I'm doing differently, like or what there is.
Okay. Wait, why is Kathaar dying?
The Twitch chat. But
thanks for reminding me that exists. That was really poorly
God.
edited, by the way. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's just, but
That's about Eddie stuff. He needs more views for the stuff that he's putting out. Like it's so unique to having a host like this.
I can tell you why, Ed. I can tell you why. I've never wanted to say it because it always it felt
it's
rude
fine
to say.
It's all good.
The way and like so in conversational situations like this, it doesn't happen. But when you're reading off a script, you sound very flat. You sound very uninterested, and so your voice is uninterested.
No, that's something I've been told before as well.
The thing is, it's fixable. It's
I mean,
you just gotta
look at the RuneScape research.
Exactly, because you're being weird and you're throwing a character into your voice.
That's your thing, man. You've got to really stick with that. That's your thing. I got in game the other day, and I had this random person I was just smithing, and they're like, "Oh, it's one of those moments where like, oh, I'll watch you on YouTube, blah blah, that sort of situation." And then out of nowhere, someone else was like, "You have a cute voice."
Ew. Oh, sorry.
I'm like, okay, so like Ed, because I take these voice acting classes, is that I picked up some things. And one thing that at first I thought it was the stupidest thing this guy was telling me to do, but he made me keep doing it, and it works. So when you're looking at your script, you're looking at your print, what you got to read off. Picture somebody you're talking to family member, friend, somebody you know, and give yourself breaks between sentences because you can edit the gaps.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
But you give yourself, you break the script into chunks, as small chunks as possible, so that you're focusing on just these words. And so you keep the character, you keep the energy high, and then you stop and you bring the energy back up and you remind yourself who you're talking to and go again. And you keep doing that, and it'll sound, there'll be, at the very minimum, you'll have more energy in your lines.
Mhm.
And it doesn't just sound like
Reading
God
off a
Wars Dungeon
script, just
yeah. You know, God Wars Dungeon is a four boss dungeon with a fifth boss if you go the extra mile. Like
Practice your
Yeah.
it's
intonations.
really easy to lose
That's the other
energy
thing.
as the sentence goes.
Like if
And
you see,
also
obviously,
practice too.
pitch voice,
Like there's a lot of.
it's
I'm
different.
sorry. Go ahead.
When I do the Mad Max series, I have a higher pitched voice, and that's a actual thing that I'm doing is I'm putting on that voice for that character,
Well,
and I'm going up
for-
and
yeah.
down in voices because it's to create excitement and stuff like that as well. I think someone who does scripts in particular really well is Linus. If you've ever seen any of his videos, Linus Tech Tips,
Yeah.
I think he does
Yeah.
scripts really, really well.
Well, and for like that voices thing, it's because you're voicing your character. Mad Max is a separate character from you, so you want to put a little bit. It's kind of like reading an audiobook out loud. You want to put a little bit of a difference. You can still tell it's your voice, but there's enough of a difference so that the listener can differentiate between you dropping statistics and your character saying something funny because he's died again and death is over his shit, stuff like that. But for Eddie, because what he's doing is narration, because you're narrating, you're explaining, explaining the dungeon, you're explaining the history behind the bosses. You don't need to throw in a character so much, but you need to keep the energy there. And definitely rehearse your script a little bit so that you get a little bit less of the pauses where you're trying to like think about what you need to say and then you say it. Like I can't really that's the best way I can describe it without like pulling up the video and rewatching it so I can go, okay, right here. I guarantee it'll help keep people engaged. And I'm guilty of the same stuff. I've only just really learned how to put this down. But now I have an understanding of why it happens. I've always noticed it, but now I have an understanding of what it is and what you could do to work. And your RuneScape researcher, was that the name you went with, right?
The RuneScape researcher.
Right?
There's hopefully I'll be recording the second episode this week.
That is
hopefully.
That video blew up. That was a really good, and because you weren't just rattling off a script, being descriptive, you had to be a character, and so the energy was high and it was engaging. And
Fun fact, I was actually not standing up. I was on my knees.
Oh yeah, knee daddy. Wait, let's not. Says the guy, I am wearing some fancy ass Rick and Morty boxes. Okay, I don't want
It was not comfortable.
Segue. What?
No.
What is the best feedback you've gotten that you've actually taken on board? Could be live, could be YouTube. Either way.
Who are you asking?
Everyone. So I guess we'll do that.
It's not even bad advice. It is a time thing. I've heard it.
I say it all the time. I say RuneScape's a terrible game when you think of it as a core. Like when you're just sitting there smashing a tree for like 8 hours, and it's just like, what am I doing with my life here? But then at the end of the day, it's that grind, it's that effort that really makes it worth it.
For me, to follow up on that a little, sure. I don't know. RuneScape, when you really break it down, it's not much, but then it has a charm to it that keeps me invested, because if I go to any other MMO, it's going to be the same grindy stuff, except for it doesn't have that charm to it. So now it's even worse. Like, it's like now I'm going to gather me 10 plants and read this paragraph about the lore that you can totally skip and no one's interested in, or go engage in an actual quest that does its best to tell you a story, not just slap a paragraph of text in front of you. Like, there's a charm to the game that I like, and it is mainly, based on that example, it is mainly the quest. that make RuneScape such a better game than any other MMO, at least for me.
Slayer is like the quest of other games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Slayer
Literally,
is what other games consider quests. We have a skill for it. If you want that grindy, repetitive, just tell me what to do. Like, tell me to do a thing and I'll go do it. If you want that, we have an entire skill dedicated to it. That's fine. You can do it. But it's also like, if you want the story given to you in a manner that is, at least half-ass interesting, we have that. And I haven't played another MMO except for Final Fantasy 14 sometimes does the same thing. But again, like, you have to do 100 of these stupid fetch quests in between each main story point. So,
Literally touching on a video I did about that literally like last week.
oh, nice. I'm glad I'm not alone in it.
I was like 10 things I hate about modern games, and that was literally one of them.
Yeah. I mean, look at Witcher 3. People applaud that game's
what I was
storytelling
referencing, but-
because the quests in that game don't do that. RuneScape 3's quests, maybe they're not all as awesome and interesting and deep and intertwined as The Witcher's, but they're leagues beyond what does, leagues beyond what most of Final Fantasy 14 does. And I don't know what other MMOs out people play, like Black Desert Online. I don't know. I'm assuming it's the same thing. I haven't played it. I'm just going
I
off
feel
of
a
what I've
modern
actually
game that
played.
gave me the same grind feel as RuneScape was Death Stranding. Just slightly your way through being an Uber delivery person was like
I still need to
same
play it.
feel
I
as
own
going
it.
for 99.
I own it, but I keep putting it aside for other games.
You're
I know
not
I want to
missing
do this
much.
first. I do want to play it, and I know the gameplay is slog, but I'm a RuneScape player, so that shouldn't bother me much. I am interested in the plot, and I am interested in supporting Kojima overall, because that man got done dirty by Konami, and he deserves
Eddie,
this.
answer there, sorry. What you could do is you could put our nationalities under our name, and then that accent can be who is talking, if that makes sense.
That would work. It would work in this this setup of the four of us,
obviously
our international thing. I was thinking of maybe having it so instead in future ones I'll take the bit from Discord, because you get the nice green circle that comes around the edge, and maybe having circular frames instead of squares as a way of letting people know who's talking.
Yeah. Good idea. Good.
So what we're
feedback.
thinking, so in terms of the podcast in general, it's probably going to be the same for, but then potentially with extra people on top is what I'm thinking. Although
Big boy
Or
podcast.
swap outs or whatever.
I was
you
going
never
to say,
know.
because of the time zone thing, with the fact we literally have 8 and 9 hours apart from each other, it's very hard to work out. And it's currently it's gone 4 a.m. for you, Jim, right?
Yeah, 4 a.m.
So there's definitely.
Tell you about my preparation for that. I stayed up literally the last 38 hours just so that I could go to sleep for like 4 hours and get up in time.
Oh my god,
Just,
dude.
just like hard reset your sleep schedule.
Yeah, I literally I was like, you know what? If I sleep now, I'm not going to be able to wake up in time. So screw it. I literally went to bed yesterday at like 10 p.m. and then got up at 2, but that's after 38 hours of staying awake. So I knew that I was dead tired, ready to wake up for it. Commitment, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, we will
just
have to
commit.
work something out that works. Like,
I honestly don't mind, because this time is peak for me anyway when I'm doing stuff with uploading and everything, because this is when the rest of pretty much the world is awake for me.
yeah,
Mash,
I
you're just
guess,
jealous
yeah.
you're not on the podcast. Oh, I forgot the topic was best feedback. I think
Yes, it was, and then we suddenly went on.
I think really my best feedback so far. I've gotten some really juicy bits, like little golden nuggets here and there. People going, "Hey, do this, 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 and this." But the first one was after my first episode. Jay, Dark World Order, he dropped a comment. He was like, "Don't be afraid to edit out those moments where you're thinking about what you need to say." And it's essentially cut out the dead air, because I had a couple of moments where I would just stop. And I'm like panicking because I'm not doing my first episode. I don't know what I'm doing. I have not thought ahead at all. And so that was actually really helpful. It's just more aggressive with the cuts and making sure that the clips that were there had a purpose, and it wasn't just dead audio or too many pauses of me just like going, okay, so let me shit. Stuff like that.
Just let your shit. That's the best advice.
Unless it's humorous, unless I can make it funny, I usually get rid of that stuff.
Yeah.
Eric, what about
Mine
you?
was-
Or Jim. Go ahead.
I think mine was audio. The first episodes of the Mad Max series, it was so overly bassy, and that's why I like really went back to basics and did so many just audio guides, learning how to manipulate it in different ways, using gates, using limiters, and all that. And I think I'm at the point now where I've got a good quality. So yeah,
I
that was
think
definitely the
your
best feedback. Was focus on audio.
Your quality's excellent. I'm just saying.
Mine's probably the worst. Either,
Really
I don't know.
good.
It's very pleasant to the ears.
Room. Yeah, no,
It's
your
cute.
voice. It's very cute. Ooh.
All of the oohs.
All right, so
So
Eric.
how much is your? Sorry, never mind.
Oh,
Huh?
I
feedback
was just gonna say
for yourself, but
how much is your OnlyFans?
Wait, what?
I'm still waiting for those feet pics.
Oh yeah. But I
Can you
already
please
said-
send the photo? Sorry,
I am
Eric.
curious.
Yeah, send the photo so that we can put it up on the VOD.
Oh no. Make it a thumbnail.
Oh yes.
Imagine.
But should we just
dear.
like should we slap a feet pic in the background of that thumbnail?
Dude, imagine though. Like
Imagine.
make it a
wanna
transparent.
talk
I mean, it's
about
a lot of effort,
clickbait,
but you
bro.
can make a transparent picture and like add it like in like at the bottom and make it huge.
That
Just
pen
feet.
tool is my best friend.
Ah, a man of culture. I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hydration check.
Match. That's usually how it goes. Like you drop a video and that was pretty good, and then you get comments that point out stuff that you just never really would have considered or thought of, and it's like I can't argue with that. That's solid advice. I've got to consider that.
The funny thing, I think me and Jim, we've both done some kind of film studies at some point, like in college or whatever. So, like the actual composition of stuff, I think we naturally know roughly what looks good. So generally, I've not had a huge amount of feedback on how stuff looks in terms of improving it. And that's because I already learnt it and was taught it. So, for me, I guess the feedback's... I don't know, really. Like, I haven't had a huge amount. I've had lots of people with stuff like yourself, Jim, with thumbnails the other week, where I've now gone back through and, yeah, I realised maybe what I had before was not the most appealing to people. So
It's kind of like when you watch those old AMVs and they're using Windows Movie Maker, and you just gotta, hey, maybe you should try Vegas or Premiere. Just give them a nudge.
yeah.
Yeah, I took video class in like high school, but it was so long ago that like most of what I learned has kind of fallen off because it wasn't really a passion of mine, so it wasn't something I was just going to stick to. I just enjoyed the class. So I've got no advice when it comes to that kind of stuff. I just roll with what feels right, and that's about
Yeah,
it.
it's good though because it gives you your own like style and look of a video. in
I agree with
way.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Although ever since Shark pointed out the whole bad guy on the left side of the screen, I've been paying attention to that. I'm like, huh? For the most part.
I'm sorry.
Or what I've noticed. is
And
usually,
now
like,
look who's on the left-hand side
I
of the
peeled back the
screen.
curtain. Oh no!
oh, no. Or like something I noticed, like I was rewatching cutscenes of the first, like the Last of Us Part 1, and I was like, it's like the aggressor is usually on the left side. Like, Tess is beating the shit out of this guy. She's on the left side, and it's like, okay. I mean, I don't know if that's intentional or if I'm overlooking into it, but
It
I like
probably
that
is
idea of the
intentional,
aggressor
or
is usually the one on the left side.
even if it's not intentional, it would have at some point. It might be just ingrained into their mind so much that they naturally think that looks better that way. That's the thing. It's such a subconscious thing. If it happens over culture of films for years, then
The human brain is very interesting like that.
yeah. But anyway, Eric,
Eric.
Best feedback.
Eric!
Feedback.
The man.
I made a joke. I made a joke with quitting RuneScape. But,
Okay.
Best feedback. I think I got something like get a better mic at some point as well. So audio quality again. I don't know anything else. I really have been more of a like solo do it your own thing. Apart from video suggestions in terms of ideas. I don't know in terms of feedback. People usually tell me to stop smacking my lips when I talk because my microphone is so soft now that the better one that when I have to be like extremely close for people to actually hear me properly. Yeah, other than that, best feedback. Huh.
What
Green
microphone are you
apples, by
using?
the way.
A BM350 cheap Chinese thing actually.
Oh,
Funnily enough.
Eddie's got the blue Yeti.
The
I
blue
think.
The
Yeti.
classic.
Yeah, man.
Same here.
This has lasted
Doesn't
me
fail.
nearly 10 years now. Like, so good.
Yeah, I've got the same thing, and I've got no complaints. Although, if I were to upgrade, I'd want to get one of those shotgun mic because those things look awesome.
Are you guys using XLR?
No,
Yes.
I'm using USB.
No.
Yes.
No, it's a USB, yeah.
See, I upgraded
Yeah.
to XLR. It's just so much control. So much control over this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does.
I think
sound
that's
like
the
a
number one
nice-
reason people click away as well is bad audio.
Oh, for
like
sure.
people can
Mhm.
excuse bad video, but if you just hear like it's just people click away.
Yeah, no, when I was getting like inspiration for this. Well, I wouldn't say inspiration because I wanted to do it, but I was like studying how to do like a desert only. Is it actually possible? There's going to be stuff in there that's interesting enough to keep people engaged. Is it going to have an end game? And well, one of the hardest solo bosses in the game happens to be out there, so it's like, okay, that's a good end game. But I was watching somebody else on YouTube who was doing the same thing, but he hadn't uploaded in like 4 months at the time. And I was watching him, and it was a struggle. Oh, it was a struggle to watch him because he had one episode where he was like, first of all, he kind of had a hard time talking, but his mic quality was bad, and there was no audio control. So he was like, one episode, he's like, so like, I'm sorry guys, my washer is going on in the background. And he literally had a clothes washer going. I was like, you couldn't have waited until it was done? Like, it just, there wasn't, and I guess it's probably why he just like stopped halfway. And he also like his the mining and smithing rework happened like halfway through his series, and I think that screwed up any plans he had. As he couldn't get armor drops, and he just like he just stopped uploading. I don't even think I've watched all the episodes because I couldn't. But the plan was that I was like, okay, maybe he's discovered and run into things that I hadn't even considered. So I want to watch this and just steal his ideas. Or like, okay, that's a good strategy. I should do that, kind of thing. No, I pretty much already knew everything.
Though, is reverb. So that's the one pet peeve that I have when I watch people is that there's too much room in their microphone, if that makes sense. Like you're hearing too much of the ambience of things around and it just sounds echoey. The way to fix that, regardless what mic you have, is just turn down the input level. So if you go into sound settings and you just drop that down from 100 to say 80 or 75, that is how you reduce that echo and that whole I guess, the best word to explain is the room that's in that sound is to drop it down that bit, because when you're editing, you can actually bring that back up, but then it's going to have none of that room because you're changing how the term would be hot your mic is. And if it's completely cranked up, well, then I could be standing on the other side of the house and you would hear me talk. So just by bringing that down, it like narrows the field of where this thing's actually listening. And that way you feel more studio quality, you feel closer to the microphone, and you've got more stuff that you can do in editing, especially using gates and stuff like that. That's how people get like an even voice, is by using gates. So if you're trying to do audio editing, learn how to use those things, because that will make your voice consistent. If I yell in one of my videos, it will still be the same loudness of me whispering, because it basically finds the high and the low and cuts a middle part out of it.
All right.
There's
pretty
a
good
drawback to that, and you lose a lot of range, but that's more of something that you only have to. It's not really something you have to worry about just making you like that. It's something you have to worry about when you're actually voice acting. is that you want that full range. You want the high highs and the low lows, but instead of doing what you said about bringing the mic closer and making it, less sensitive, which I have done because that was suggested to me.
Yeah.
But
Oh, 1 second. Sorry.
oh, no worries. You want to treat your workspace, even if that means just hang a blanket behind you if you can. Or I mean, what sometimes even works is just like people who
I use pillows when I was starting.
Yeah.
I use pillows, and it works really
you
well.
just throw up some pillows, like toss a blanket over your head. Honest to God, just throw a comforter over your head,
done
and
that too.
it's you're almost studio quality at that point. It's a massive change, and you get to keep the range in your voice without having to tweak it
Turn
a
it
whole
all the
lot.
way down.
But I think
Thank you, neighbors. Thank you
it
too.
really just depends on what you're trying to get out of your mic, what you're trying to get out of your mic. Really,
Yeah.
it just depends.
Well, look at us, for example. Eddie's obviously got his face on cam, but the only way that we can convey to people is through our voice. We don't have our faces on there. So that's the thing that we obviously need to focus on and really make that priority to get that across to people, is having just such a crisp, clear audio so that they can get our personality through our voices.
Also a good point.
All right, beautiful.
The more-
Well, I feel like we've covered the best feedback, and I am being greeted by the smell of food from downstairs. I'm pretty hungry because I had my lunch at about 11 o'clock, which was a while ago now. Because like I said, I've been at work since 6 this morning, so I feel like we're going to have to wrap it. We barely touched the list of topics that I have on here. We went for 2.5 hours, even with that little interruption in the middle.
I have no idea how.
It actually
Time flies
flew
by.
by.
I know. I kind of want to keep going, but it's
Life is
I haven't
calling.
eaten. I haven't eaten yet today, so
Yes.
I'm starting to feel it.
So I think we're going to have to call it here. So everybody, give yourselves a little shout out before we head off. So, Jim, as you're on the left again, the evil one, I'll let you start.
I'm going to go watch the sunrise.
No, you're in the middle of winter,
I see
man.
what
That'll
you
be a
did
few
there.
hours.
Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously, these guys in the podcast here are awesome, so go check them out as well.
Can I say the same thing now? Is that like weird?
Nah, that's why I did it first. Yeah,
That's right. Oh, hot foot.
Damn
I'm
it.
the evil one on the left, remember?
Also, go if you have the opportunity, if you're watching the video or this Twitch stream, be sure to get a hold of the feet pics Kathaar might have for you, depending on.
Oh yes.
Thumbnail for this.
Juicy
Oh.
content.
Oh,
The
dear.
thumbnail. Toenail. Oh my god.
The thumbnail.
Toenail.
Toenail thumbnail. I hate it. I hate you all. This is great. This is brilliant. I love it.
Kathaar, have you
Yeah.
got anything to say before we head off?
If you haven't subscribed to this mad lad host here, Eddie, do so. And of course, check out everybody's content. It's what we're all here for. I really hope you all enjoyed this podcast. I've never done anything like this before. We definitely want to do it again. I don't want to jump the gun here on Eddie, but send us suggestions for topics you want to hear about. We might consider them.
Yeah, man, I can add them to my list of stuff. Like I said, we barely touched what I had
You
listed
get
here.
3 per episode. That's all you're limited to.
That's basically what it
3.
felt like.
Spend a bond to get 2 more.
I was going to say, that's Eddie's microtransactions.
Hey, that's what Patreon is, right?
Oh yeah.
Or, if you're brave, an OnlyFans.
Oh, actually,
Feet pics.
I did something real risky on my Patreon today. Not today, yesterday. I let them decide which 99 I was going for.
Oh no.
Big mistake.
Oh. I smelt the food. Another food has been brought to me. We're literally just wrapping up, so you could have kept it downstairs. But everybody, here is my dinner.
Oh shit! Looks good as well.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. It looks really nice. I've got peppers. I've got halloumi cheese. I've got a burger. I'm going to go and enjoy this. So, yeah, thank you, everybody, for coming along. Thank you guys for joining me as well. We'll organise a time to do this again. Maybe next Sunday. Who knows? I don't know if everyone's around, but I'm happy to make it a weekly thing on a Sunday if you guys are.
Yeah, weekly, bi-weekly, something fun.
Sweet. And
Oh
Kathaar,
my
I have
God. The
Kathaar.
stream just caught up. That burger looks amazing.
Kathaar, I have news for
Mm.
you. I have a challenger
that?
for you.
Oh, who is it? Do we get to
Giant
find out?
Task.
Giant Task. Oh shit.
The man knows his stuff.
All right.
He's doing
This is
task
why it's not
mode.
everyone
He
on
knows
that
what he's
show.
doing. So yeah, I I hope you guys have all enjoyed. Make sure to check everybody out. Obviously, all the links to everybody else's and everything that we've talked about and Discord and whatever are in the description, as you know. And goodbye until next time.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?